We're live. Hey, Ronnie, thank you so much for accepting the invitation to be on here today.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate it. I like the channel. I like the talks you guys have on here. It's pretty very educational while it's still, keeping everybody just in the fish hobby. So um, I couldn't wait to be on, man. I really appreciate you for having me on.
For those of you that are not familiar with Ronnie, he goes under Click Aquatic Tanks. Predominantly, your main platform is what? TikTok?
It is TikTok, but I rarely even post on TikTok. So it's kind of just like I'm switching over to Instagram because I just like it better. The algorithm's better. I'm seeing like all the current feed, so I'm not seeing stuff from like 3 months ago. I'm seeing everything that someone posts. It's all recent and it's all available. So that's why I want to switch over to Instagram just for that specific
Okay.
reason.
I think your receiver must have bumped out again because it's picking up. It's not picking up from the lavalier. It's picking it up from.
Let me see. I might just get close. I might
There
just
you
get
go.
closer over here. Oh, here it is. Okay. It should pick up from the lavalier now. It gave me the option to do wireless mic. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, no, I could hear you earlier too, but it was just a little bit more distance. I could tell the difference that it wasn't
Right. Okay. So
from your mic.
yeah, it looks like the it actually gave me the option to click wireless microphone. So am I clear now?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so the TikTok was what? Just like a placeholder, or you tried it out and didn't, because it seems like you got a pretty good size following on TikTok.
Yeah, I mean I like TikTok, man, but it's just like I just don't like the TikTok algorithm. I don't like the algorithm on TikTok. And then I mean, like it's okay. I know most of the beginners are, on TikTok, but on Instagram, I feel like the content is just better overall, the quality of the content. So I'm seeing like these aquascapes, being put together with, love and passion into them, um, using certain methods. Like a lot of people don't, a lot of times on TikTok, you kind of just see um, people just kind of just drop stuff in the tank, like just wood and rock. But on Instagram, more of the time, you see like people breaking stuff down, cutting wood, gluing it together, showing you different techniques how to aquascape. So it's kind of more like I learn more off of Instagram. So I kind of just like being on Instagram a little bit more.
And I know you do have a YouTube channel, but you really haven't done much with it in a while, right?
Yeah, the YouTube channel. I told myself I was gonna get on YouTube. I'm gonna start posting more. Sometimes I used to be a videographer a lot, which is crazy. Which is crazy why you would think I would not be on YouTube, but I did film for years, and it was mostly car content. And I don't know, man. I think I just dropped the ball, but I definitely do want to post on YouTube. Definitely because you got those bigger brands on YouTube that you can collab with, like Seachum or 2 Hour Aquarius, those type of brands. So I'm looking for that type of partnership with them, but I just haven't been putting the work myself out. So it's kind of like my fault. So
Yeah, no, I was like I said, um, I'm trying to remember. I think I did come across your content first on Instagram because I do run all three of them, and it varies. Sometimes I guess you base platform is obviously YouTube, and then it was Instagram for Instagram, and I really wasn't messing around with TikTok. I opened it up a while back, and then just kind of let it slide for a little bit, and it wasn't until towards the end of this year. I mean, not this year, but 2025, that I started, interacting with a little bit more and doing a lot more of the Spanish stuff over there.
mhm.
But periodically I'll still go there and jump like on your guys' live streams and stuff like that. But one of the things that I think it was on on one of the TikToks that you were on, Bamba was on, Ben Aquatics, and I forget what the other gentleman was. And it was pretty interesting because you guys were talking about aquascaping tanks and different techniques and stuff like that. And it's something that you normally don't necessarily find in on YouTube, or at least I haven't come across that. Mostly it's like individuals posting and sharing their methods, but I've never actually heard full aquascaping conversations being had. And and you guys just kind of hanging out is what I was assuming were friends, because you seem like you guys all kind of know each other pretty well. Well, at least in follow each other on your contents. But yeah, and then later on, obviously Nick started showing up there, and it was like, oh, okay, I can kind of see where these guys, how you guys get along, because I kind of like what Nick does, and from In My Tanks.
Hang on, George. I'm gonna switch. I'm just gonna bring my phone closer. I tried to get like the little cinematic pop, but let me just bring my phone closer, and we're gonna switch the audio and everything to my phone.
All right, no problem. No problem. For those of you that are joining in, thank you guys so much for coming in today. Let me go ahead and take this time to acknowledge some of you guys. Cheryl, CR Fish, thanks for being the very first one in. Cam Jam, thank you, ma'am. KJ, thanks for joining us today, this afternoon. Just one more fish, Jesse, thank you for being here. Jungle Nook, I'm gonna have the opportunity to have a conversation with him next Wednesday. We're gonna be jamming together. So if you guys haven't checked out his channel, make sure you guys go take a look at it. He accurately describes his name actually describes his channel and everything he's got going on, because he's literally got an indoor jungle. It's going to be interesting to be able to talk to him. So thank you, Jungle Nook, for being here. The moneyless Maven Aquatic, Cheryl, thank you for joining us. Mixed Pez Gold Aquarios, Aquariofilia MX, gracias por estar aquí. And I think that's everybody so far that's been chatting. Everybody else is just kind of lurking and working. Well, thank you for joining us. How's your audio coming along, Ronnie? Oh, you're muted. There you go.
Do I sound pretty normal now?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, I wanted to make sure. So how are you into the aquascaping type of deal, or do you just kind of just one of those guys who just sit and just plant, throw a couple rocks and wood into the tank, and then we just call it a day?
Oh, I'm into the aquascaping. My pocketbook is not into the aquascaping. that's the only thing that holds me back. No, I love tinkering around and trying to set stuff up. But to be able to do it at the scale you guys do it, you really have to put some money into it. There's no ends or ways about it. You got it starts off with just the aquariums. You got to get those low iron aquariums with no rims on them. And those are not very cheap, especially because most of those tanks are like nano size. So, which makes sense, because if you're going to aquascape, the smaller the tank it is, the more cost effective it's going to be to try to scape it too.
Right. Yes, sir.
So, I understand that. That's why there's a lot of 20 gallons or less sizes. You find so many variations of smaller volume tanks. By far my favorite style are like the shallows that have come out. I love those tanks. Those are like my favorite tanks. But yeah, it's just a little bit, because if you're going to invest that much money on an aquarium, well, then you might as well invest in the CO2. And if you're going to do the CO2, you're not gonna go the inexpensive route and do the DIY stuff, because it's not worth the trouble. And then more than likely, if you're going to run CO2, you're going to want to run it on multiple tanks. So you're just better off with a manifold and a nice setup.
Right.
So, that's the whole thing. It's just, I love to be able to do it. It's just, and then, buying the hardscape The plants. The plants is the one thing that people don't really talk about how much money it costs.
Right.
To be able to, do a like the tank behind you, the one that has the palm fronds coming out the top.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you have what do you have in there? Is it like a Nubius or Buse?
So this specific tank has probably like at least 12 to 15 species of plants. Um, so the polyp palms, they're all rooted into the lava rocks that I put on top of the tank. So these right here, like the way I set the tank, is still not finished. I plan on putting some sheet moss on the wood that's actually sticking out to kind of give it some more of a defined look. But we have polyp palms at top, and then I guess at the top mid, I'm guessing. We have Anubias. We have Physidens nobilis. Physidens nobilis is my favorite moss. It's the best looking moss in my opinion. It doesn't get too long. It doesn't get stringy. It's pretty easy to move. It's nice. It's a nice firm moss. Probably one of the best moss for aquascaping for me. And it grows very quickly. So and in the way that it doesn't grow up like Java fern or I'm sorry, Java moss or Christmas moss or even weeping moss sometimes grows up. This moss just grows down and it looks like a carpet. If I was to compare it to something, I would say if you ever played like Ghost of Tsushima or like Edo Japan period, the way the grass looks, that's what it looks like to me, like that type of era. So that moss is really nice. So I have Physidus nobilis. I do have weeping moss in here, and it is some Java moss in here. It's kind of impossible to get rid of Java moss, um, but I have a piece of rare boost in here. We have a 2011 Boost Ghost, and I believe just for I think it's like $50 a leaf or something like that, maybe $30 a leaf. It's a very rare piece of Boost. It's the only one that I have. And then yes, I have a Nubius Nana Petite in here. We have that. We have Japanica Blixa, which I like this plant as well because it looks like it like you ever been to an apartment, you know that I'm trying to explain that plant. The plant that looks it's short, but it looks grassy, but it's growing in the mulch.
Yep.
It's like that. So it's a nice looking plant and it has color variants. So depending on how you run your lights, if you want blues or you want more red, um, kind of just get into that light spectrum, you can kind of like mess with the color variant on that plant. And then like my all-time favorite, which is Reneki Mini or AR Mini. Um, you don't need CO2 or um, you don't need CO2 for this plant to stay red. You just need some very great highlighting for this plant. So it's kind of a myth it's a myth in the aquarium or aquascaping community is that you need CO2 for red plants, which is not necessarily true. The only thing that plants require is a very great amount of nutrient or and some highlighting or great white light. So that plant is one of my favorites. And then the all time, which I'm experiencing right now, which is Star Repens. Star Repens is a stem plant that you can actually carpet. You can do it in a low tech or high tech. This plant is very adaptable. With CO2, it grows like crazy. It's probably one of the fastest plants out there that are carpet with CO2 in the tank. I'm also growing it in this tank, which is right here, but I'm doing a dry start on this one until I get the rest of my plants. We have some more boosts, which is dark. Um, I'm sorry, dark Catherine carpet. This one right here is it's a pretty nice. It's still converting over to its darker form in the tank, and then we have Golden Nisea. Again, one of my favorite plants. This one actually grows from yellow to orange to pink. So it grows up through the leaf system. So at the bottom you have like a yellow, and then you'll have your orange, and then the top will be pink. So this one looks very well. So we have that. And I'll get you guys a close up on the tank. Actually, let me show you guys so you guys can see what I'm talking
There you
about.
go. Yeah, I've tried that Japonica, but I've never had any luck with it. But I don't run any CO2 or anything like that, and my lights are not very strong either. They're
Mhm.
just regular stop lights, and it never. I got a bunch of it for free, but I never got it to grow. And somebody was telling me you have to run CO2 on that plant, or else it won't thrive.
I actually have it planted in one of my bins because so when I cut plants, I have a shelf where I put stuff, and that shelf does not have CO2 in it, and that plant is still growing out. It might just. I know my water here is pretty soft, and
Okay.
that might be it. But
Yeah, I have issues with hardness of water. It's too hard. A lot of the plants don't do very well because it's just high. It's just too hard.
right, yeah. So a lot of plants do suffer in harder GHs. So I do agree with that. But they will adapt. It just takes time, and then obviously you know about the plant stuff, so like the nutrients that it need and stuff like that, right? So I'm pretty sure you tried your best to keep that plant alive.
Well, okay. No, let's not kid ourselves. I didn't try my best because I put it in there and I said if it grows in my without me having to, that's the thing with my planted aquariums. I've gone through a bunch of plants and only the stuff that'll thrive in my water parameters without me really having to do a whole lot are the ones that I continue to buy. So
Right.
that's why if you look at all my tanks, they all kind of look the same. Well, it's because they are the same. They're the same plants. Because I've found that those plants, I don't have to mess with them very much. I can periodically just dose them with an all-purpose liquid fertilizer,
Hmm.
and they're going to do okay. Um, there's definitely some drawbacks to doing it the way I do. But if you're trying to do something that doesn't require too much attention, and you don't want to be as hands-on as some of these other tanks where you constantly have to be in there trimming and making adjustments and stuff like that,
Right.
then maybe the style that I do might be the one for you. But if you're a busybody and you're constantly trying to do stuff, yeah, my setup is definitely the wrong setup for that because mine is sit and wait, and that's all you're doing.
I got you. So yeah, that makes sense. I do want a tank like that. I definitely I'm building something in the living room. We're going to go with something completely big. This is my first low iron tank that will be over 15 gallons. It's a 50-gallon rimless, or should I say frameless tank. So it's going in the living room, but I haven't built it yet, nor have I
Oh,
bought it. So um,
are you going to build it yourself, or are you having it built?
no, I'm it's actually coming from Landon. They
Okay,
have it's like the same dimensions from a 40 breeder, but it's longer and it's
okay.
rimless. So I'm going to try that out. It's going to be my first big aquascape. Like I always done nano tanks, so I'm going to actually try to put my foot in that one. Um, but I think that's it. We have dwarf hairgrass right here at the bottom. This plant can grow in sand. This is just a sand. There's no cap. Uh, the rocks right here separate where the aqua soil is everywhere, starting here and up. So there's no aqua soil underneath the sand or anything like that. Me personally, I just don't believe in capping aqua soil. There's just no point of doing it. And then yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty it. That's pretty much it for this tank. Dwarf Star, which is the middle plant. And yeah, we got some Mirio, some Crypt Mirio, and some Crypt Flamingo that's in the corners, but you can't really see it because the Reneki's out competing it. But yeah, I mean, I think that's it, George, for that tank.
What do you use? Do you add any ferts to your aquariums, or
I was actually
other
about
than
to
the
ask you
other
that
than
question.
substrate?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I run APT3 or an APTE. And then I kind of do little supplements of after I do a cut, I might throw some Flourish Advance in there, or I might throw some Flourish, just some Flourish in there. So it's those four ferts. If anybody's looking for a all-purpose fert, you can go NA Thrive or Marcus Fish Tanks. They have some great all-in-one ferts that I've started in all low-tech tanks. I just needed something with a little more kick in these high tech, or it's just no point in running the high tech. So
Yeah, no, I keep it real simple with mine because again, I don't have anything that's highly demanding, so I can get away with using like Aquarium Co-op's Easy Green, and that's kind of what I use in there. Um, but I'm not very consistent with applying liquid ferts. Um, there is a repercussion for not doing that. I do have a Lotus right now that It's got some pinholes in it because I waited too long to try to add, some ferts into it. But for the most part, everything else seems to do. I mean, it's again, they're very basic plants. I have some Rotala rotundifolia, some Luigia,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it's the basic one. I think it's the Luigia green. It's like one of the first ones that came out. Uh,
Yeah,
Val,
yeah.
Jungle
I,
Val is my favorite plant by far, and I
you
have
like
some of
Jungle
that.
Val?
Yeah,
I don't. I do not like Jungle Val. Maybe because I always have smaller tanks. Maybe that's just
yeah. Well, that's to see where my tanks are all 55 or bigger for the most part. Um, like the
right.
one that's right there is what about a 20-gallon? The one that's right next to you, the one you were showing us.
This one? Nah, it's just the way I escape it. It makes it look bigger. So it's actually a 13-gallon tank.
Okay, yeah, but it's so it's not really a really big tank.
No.
Um, but yeah, no. Imagine trying to add plants to some of the bigger tanks. So I go with stuff that grows fast, inexpensive, and propagates real easy. And those are
I
kind of
got you.
the three priorities when it comes to me for plants. I like Anubiuses. Anubiuses are like a love and hate relationship with my aquariums, and that's because my temperatures get way too hot. And in the winter it's not that bad. I think the lowest has been in here in the fish room right now. It's been like 60 degrees, but it stays consistently between like right now. Well, right now it's been kind of warm, but it's like 76 in here right now, so it's ideal for the aquariums because aquariums will be like between 72 and 74 at that temperature.
Right.
And even when they dip down, it doesn't get like. But in the summer, they run consistently between 89 and 92 degrees
Mm.
in the tank. So
Ooh.
I'm cooking my tank.
Yeah, yeah, I can see where you're coming from there, Joy. Just it plants definitely seem to thrive between 68 and 72 degrees Fahrenheit. That is the sweet number for majority of the plants in the hobby. So yeah, so running something like 80, not like 80, 90 degrees, that sounds like an ick tank. It sounds like you're trying to get rid of it. But yeah, I definitely can agree. Um, I love heavily planted tanks. Um, they just, for one, they look so much appealing, and for two, like on the other side, the maintenance on the tank, like the overall maintenance is just you don't have to do that much. You know what I mean? So I definitely like that. I did want to ask you a question though.
Okay.
All right, because I know you like the Wallstead method, right?
It's a variant. Yeah, I started out with the original Wallstead method. My biggest issue that I had with that method was algae. Algae. It has to go through that. It was like the very first tank I set up, I probably fought algae for seemed like four to 6 months. What happens is you have all this excess of nutrients that are being leached into the water column,
Hmm.
and until the potency of that dirt that you're using, that potting soil, really wears down, you're not going to get rid of the algae. Algae is going to be a constant thing you're going to be fighting with. For the Walston method to really start balancing it out, it almost takes a whole year to be able to get surpass that point where you have all those excess nutrients, and now the nutrient level that you have in there is enough where your plants will be able to consume it. And by that time, you've been able to propagate the same plants in that tank and replanted them. That now you have more hungry plants to feed, and it'll keep up. I don't recommend the Wallstead methods to people that are beginning because they're going to get disappointed because of the algae. Um, that's going to be a real constant thing. What I ended up doing, because I do like using the potting soil, I started playing with the portions. And instead of doing what is the recommended, I think like 1 inch at the bottom of potting soil cap with two of whatever substrate, whether it's gravel or sand, that's
Uh-huh.
typically the traditional one. I started playing around, and first I started with less amount of potting soil and still the same amount of substrate. And if you go back and look at some of the videos, you'll see how the caps gradually get thicker and thicker and thicker because I'm constantly adding soil to try to trap those excess nutrients in the bottom. I got tired of doing that, so I broke down one of the tanks and I just started using that original substrate and mixing it with more gravel and just kind of making like a mixture. And I would take like the one part of that potting soil, whatever size it is, but it would be one to two parts of inert substrate, whether it's gravel or sand, whatever you want to use. And I would mix all that together, and then that would be my base for whatever plants I'm going to grow. And then that's the base, and I would still cap it off with either gravel or sand. And I've been finding that that seems to provide the same amount of nutrients for the plants to be able to grow, and I'm not having to fight with as much algae. It seems like the amount of free floating nutrients in the aquarium are
Right.
significantly reduced because there's less organic material in there. And as far as the whole thing argument that I used to hear is that eventually the source the soil will deplete its nutrients and you're going to have to replace it. I haven't had that issue yet, and some of these tanks have been up and running for at least 4 years, 5 years, and it hasn't been an issue. So I don't know if that is really a thing that's going to happen, next year down the road, or it's going to, 5, 6, 7 years down the road. I don't know. We'll find out, I guess, because I'm not one to really mess with my tanks anyway. So, um, but as far as yeah, it's sort of what I ended up. I started out with Wallstead. I tried Father Fish method too because he did something a little bit different. But the beginning, he was adding way more stuff into the tank, and I was like, "Holy shit! This cannot be good," because the nutrients that he was adding he was adding worm castings, which is even higher nutrients, and stuff like that. And I was like, "Oh, this is probably not." And I tried a 20-gallon, and yeah, it was the same thing. I quickly realized, yeah, this is way too many nutrients. Broke it down and just started setting it up with mixing it. So it's now I have this big 20-gallon bin from when I broke down all my 10-gallon racks, and that's what I use. That's my mixed substrate, and then I'll just take a scoop of that, put it in the bottom of an aquarium, cap it off, and so far it's been good to go. This little small one is set up like that with just that, that mixture that I do of potting soil, 1 part potting soil, 2 parts of inert substrate. And you can pick
Okay.
whatever inert substrate you want to use. That's, it's just volume you're really creating. So, but yeah, that's kind of what I done. Again, I was telling, well, the last guy that I had on that I did the live stream, but we were doing it in Spanish. I think this must be a childhood trauma.
Mhm.
And the reason I say that is because growing up, we were we weren't. I mean, we had enough to get by for the day to day, but there wasn't a whole lot of room in the budget for a lot of luxuries or extra expenses other than the necessities, the essentials. And so it was always trying to be as resourceful as possible. We went through the whole hand me down when it came to clothing for a while. We got the stuff down from our older cousins, and then my brother got the stuff that I kept outgrowing,
Right. Yeah, that's
and
usually
that
how
was
I go.
yeah, that was just kind of the way it was. And I think that's been ingrained in my mind so much that now even when I want to set up a new tank, I, I'm not going to if I'm going to the store to buy the least amount of stuff that I'm going to need to set it up. And it's not that I couldn't afford to do it. I just can't justify it to myself to spend that money. And that's probably the only reason I'm not really doing the big hardcore escaping, because I look at the price of like aqua soil, like $60 for a 20-pound bag, and I get sticker shock. I'm
Hey,
like,
hey,
no
FYI,
way.
that's cheaper than what Father Fish is charging for his.
And I'm like, no way I'm paying that much money, especially because, I like I like small fish, but I like bigger tanks because I really like
Right.
to see them. It just seems to me that to be a better ratio, like a smaller fish in a bigger water volume always the behavior seems to be a little bit more interactive than a
Thank
big fish
you.
in a smaller tank. The only person that I know that I feel has adequately made the size aquariums for like the big predatory fish is Aquarium Domain, but he's got a 4,500 gallon setup. That is
Yeah.
insane. That is a little miniature pond inside his
Wait,
house.
so his sump setup is 45 gallons?
No, 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 no. It's 4,500 gallons.
Oh, 4,500.
Yeah,
Oh,
4,500. And
yeah,
but it's
that's a lot of damn water.
he made a plywood tank that he set up in his basement, and it's I forget how many feet long. I want to say it's like 16 feet long or something like that. But it is, but that that is the closest thing that like you and I, where we do the smaller fish in a little bit bigger volume, where you get the same type of behavior that you get to see. The fish
Right.
don't seem they seem a lot more relaxed, and they can kind of do a gradual lap across wherever it is they're going. I don't know, it's weird. I don't know how to explain it, but that's the only place where I've actually seen other that or the city aquariums that have these enormous, insane aquarium displays where you get to see some of the bigger predatory fish. But I think that he's the only one that I've been able to see that accomplishes that where Oscar looks small in the aquarium.
Right. Yeah, yeah. I do like like when I go on live on TikTok, like a lot of people will ask, like, hey man, where's the fish at? I'm like, they in the tank. Like,
Yeah.
they just nano fish. They be like, you don't ever want no cichlids or no discus, or I'm like, not really, because when I aquascape, I want to see like for instance, if I also set up a 40-gallon breeder, which is probably my last setup before I do the living room setup. Um I would I would put like, I don't know, like if we're just hypothetically like talking, I would put maybe like 60, 70, hell, 80 chili rasboras in a 40-gallon breeder and the fully aquascaped. I just like more fish in there because you just see uh, a better overall dynamic of how they behave. So it's just kind of like, I like it better when it's more fish than just those couple, like 3 or 4 discus in the tank. Now, don't get me wrong, like if I had the money, I would definitely get like something that's like a 4,500 gallon tank where there's just, I can escape it, and then put these big fish in there. So, but like you said, going back to the budget with the aquascaping, which I want to start a channel of aquascaping on a budget where I'm implementing and showing guys how to save money, techniques that make their scapes look better without spending, the thousands of dollars on rocks and wood. So that is some content that I'm looking to push out here pretty soon. But I definitely do agree with you on, having the smaller fish in the bigger tanks.
Uh, the very first person that I saw, I know there's been other ones out there that have done it, but fuck, I just had her tip of her name, Rachel O'Leary.
Okay.
If you ever look at her channel, she has like 75-gallon tank set up with what was it? I think it was like chili rasboras and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
I thought that was like the coolest thing ever. I have a friend of mine that's in Phoenix, Michael Coleman, and he's a really well-known breeder in the Phoenix area.
Hmm.
And he has in his living room, that has got to be my favorite tank that I've ever seen. It's like a 90-gallon bow front, heavily planted. I mean, it is just planted to the gills. But what I love about that aquarium is when you first look at it, all you see is plants. You see this all sorts of different. But I can't even remember what plants he's got in there, but it is really thick with plants. And you stand and you start looking at it, and all of a sudden you spot, oh, there's a autocyclist right there. Cool.
Yeah.
And then you start paying more attention, and he's got some quarries. He has um he's got all of this. It is heavily stocked, but because they're all basically smaller fish, a lot of them are just nano fish. You don't really start seeing them until you sit there and you start paying attention. And those are like my favorite tanks, where it's kind of like it's always the surprise to find. It's like you're looking, and then oh shit, there's a whole group of them back there. And, those tanks to
Yeah.
me are the ones that just draw me in. And I could sit in front of those tanks for hours. And just because you're always finding something new that's coming out of, from back behind the plants or it's making its way back. But it has to be one of those where you sit and you pay attention to it and you just stay there, silently sitting there. And I remember he was laughing because he's so used to people having the same reaction. Because you start looking at it and you see some endlers, kind of like the basic stuff, and then all of a sudden this little group of celestial pearl Daniels will come out. But I've never seen that orange so bright that it's almost like a red orange. That's really intense color. And he was laughing because I said, "Oh shit, he got a celestial pearl Daniels in here." And his mom and him at the same time were laughing because it seems to be the thing that always gets people is all of a sudden they'll just come out of nowhere and they really pop, but with all the greenery that's in there. And I've always said that is by far my favorite tank that I have ever seen. And I've seen some really nice setups. There's a place also in Phoenix called Kona Reef, and they have what's his name? Trying to remember his name. Tanner Aquatics. He recently set up. It was like a 4 foot by 8 foot by 2 foot tall peninsula. Well, it's not a peninsula; it's an island tank.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
the difference from his is it doesn't have the regular sump filter in the middle. Like the ones when you go to the display stores, they usually have like in the middle or the the two extremes will have like two waterfalls that fall into the sump. Well, he did it with no filter on his, and he basically built an island in the middle of that aquarium. That is probably my second favorite tank I've ever seen. Is that style? It's a low boy, but it's like a really big low boy. It's not a
Yeah.
bookshelf.
A lot of people sleep on them low boy tanks. I wanted one like a 50 gallon, like a 30 by 30. I definitely wanted one to put in the middle like of the garage. But like I just figured out like running the electrical and everything like from the top, like just so it can be like a cleaner look. Like it's gonna be pricey. Um just to get because you don't want to put a low boy like me personally, I would want to get the full aesthetic of a low boy. So from all four sides of the tank. So instead of like just backing it up to the wall, like I just kind of see a waste of space. Um but low boys are definitely stuff though, man. I think it's a creator on TikTok. His name is Sue. I think you
Yes,
you seen him.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes,
so
yes. He has
Sue's
one
low boy.
that is an Iwagumi that is a low boy.
Yeah,
Oh, that tank is
it's
gorgeous. And it's just
beautiful.
rocks and what is it? Is it what is it called? Classostoma or whatever the small carpeting plant?
I think he put UG. I think it's UG carpet.
Hmm.
Yeah, UG. It is UG, I
And it's
believe.
just and it's that's all it is, but it's very impactful. It's a oh, I lost him. He'll be back. Let me see if he pops up in here. He must have gotten a call or something. Yeah, no, but that's what I wanted to do with this 50-gallon low boy. I wanted to make it a peninsula, but the problem is the my friend that gave me this was using it to propagate corals. So it actually had in the back he had um he had drilled the back of that stuff. So I had to patch them, and that's why I couldn't use it as an island tank. But actually, the idea was to try to set up the entire stand. That's why it's on wheels, so that I could have put it in anywhere in the fish room and just kind of move it if I needed to move it.
Right. Okay. Can you hear me? I know I came
Yeah, I
off
can
for a
hear you.
minute. I don't know what happened, but let me turn that back down. Okay. Where were we? I'm sorry, I lost.
No, no, we were just talking about low boys that people sleep on them.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Low boys and like yeah, like you said, the bookshelves and the shallows, like those are my favorite things. Like I get it, like I don't like the squared off tanks because it's kind of hard to show depth. So when we're aquascaping, um, I'm gonna break down some of my levels of how I aquascape. So when I put together a tank, I always want some depth. And when I say depth, think about it like an artist drawing on a piece of paper, right? So pretty much which we can put these facts into what I'm about to say. But most of the time, people skate, they, like I said, just throw rocks, wood and tank, a centerpiece or something like that. So, most of the time people draw, like, what do they draw? They draw like stick figures, like 2D, figures or 2D um, pictures, right? So when it comes to the aquascaping, I'm always looking for that 3D-ish look, like something that's going to pop. So like a wall, like coming out, or just some type of depth to make the tank pop. Like, for instance, like this is probably one of my better tanks with depths, which I can show you guys right here. You might not be able to see, but we kind of got like some 3D-ish stuff coming out. So we have like a piece of tree that's falling, and then we have like the trees are in the back. They kind of give it that. I know you guys can't really see it that well, but when you're escaping, you kind of want to just build a hard skate first. A lot of people skip the hard skate step. So you have a base tank, you have your hard skate, you build your hard skate. You know, a lot of things that I try to preach to people when it comes to aquascaping is when building a tank, you shouldn't like one day is just not enough for me. You should be taking your time on it. So just kind of like it took me a month to build that second tank, and it's detailed out. There's rocks, there's smaller rocks, there's very small rocks. Like everything that I did, I've crushed up. So most of the time, when people buy a fish, then they sell the tank first, right, or second. What I do is I create the tank, and I kind of push my plants to their limit to kind of get them to grow in faster. So, for instance, no fish in the tank. We'll do double the amount of CO2, double the amount of ferts, double the amount of water changes, double the amount of light. We're pushing these plants to their limits, and then we're letting them grow in very well, and then we're letting them cut. So that also helps me with my cycles. Obviously, if you do have a tank that is cycled up, you can just have an instant cycle the next following week, right? So um, you want to like renovate the house before you put your fish in. Is how I see it. You want like a nice, classy renovation of for your fish. And to be honest, while you're aquascaping, you should have a fish in mind that you're going to place in the tank because you can build that habitat. Like for instance, this tank is straight up built for Neocaridina, blue dream shrimps, or every species of Neocaridina blue is in this tank. So you got blue jellies, blue dreams, blue diamonds. They're all in here, right? So the way I built it, like if I eventually added fish, the fish will only stay in this level, but because how shallow the wall is coming out, they won't go up to the top. So all the shrimps have high spots at the top, and down below is typically where all the fish, are. So they're not eating the shrimplets, stuff like that. So you can benefit certain species of fish the way you build your tank. So I know a lot of people just like the plant, but me personally, I just like to do. You want to do your front, then you want to do your middle, the back, and then the rear back. So that's just kind of how we build up that depth in the tanks. Um, Dry starts. I don't personally do them, but I know a lot of people like to do them. And then just kind of tips with the planting and substrates. The finer the needles are for your tweezers, the better you'll be able to plant in aqua. So I know I'm
Mm.
kind of getting away from building escapes, but um, most of the time when people want to cap the aqua soil is because they can't find a way to plant in it. So for instance, I think I have one here. These are very fine needles. It's easier to plant in aqua soil with the finer needles. And overall, when you plant using tweezers, the plant growth is better because most people do plant with their hand, and most of the time that plant is spending time repairing its roots, um, rather than just kind of growing out in the tank. So when you're placing plants into the substrate with your fingers, you're kind of just pushing that plant on a delay to grow because it has to repair its roots. But when you're using tweezers and planting and using aqua soil, it's easier for the plant to adjust. You're not fixing or repairing damage. So that is a tip for you guys. I did want to ask, do you like? I know there's like controversy about capping the aqua soil, George. Um, what are your views on capping aqua soil?
I don't know. I don't really use. Well, actually, you know what? I would say cap it. But here's the big the reason you would want to cap it is because, and I think this is the big issue with using a lot of those nutrient substrates is that you don't nearly plant it as much as you need to or as you think you need to. You always end up planting it less than you should, and you have way too much. It's the same issue I was having. It's that excess nutrients that you're going to have in the water column and
Mhm.
nothing to consume them. And I think that's why some people like to cap it to try to prevent that from happening. Um, but yeah, I guess the people that don't do it, either you're constantly doing water changes to try to remove those nutrients, or you started out with a very heavily planted tank that'll that'll help you consume the majority of those excess nutrients.
Okay. Um, I do agree. There is some areas where I typically can't plant just due to how shallow the tank is, or as far as in the depth of, for me to plant. Um, but what I try to tell people when it comes to capital aqua soil is if you just have sorry, my lights went off, I'll turn it back on. But if you just have for instance, for some type of plan to where you can leave an area off for plants, then it'll kind of be better. But it's kind of like shooting yourself in the foot because when you cap the aqua soil, you're basically losing its ability to pull those nutrients out of the water column to recharge itself. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like I would just rather just use sand with root tabs at that point
Yeah.
because I pay for a high grade soil. Like you said, it does get expensive. I pay for a high grade soil. I want to use it to its 100%, maximum ability. Why am I putting sand on top of that? I might as well just bought potting soil and put sand over it, or just use sand and root tabs.
I'll tell you what I found to be a great resource if you're going to use those type of substrates is the bags, the media bags. Um, I think these things are definitely worth their weight in gold because the problem with using aqua soil, sometimes, like you said, you're going to have areas where you're not going to necessarily be planting, but you wasted all that aqua soil there.
Right,
I think using the little media bags serves two purposes. One, you're keeping the soil where you want it, and two, it'll help you create those elevation differences that you're always looking to do in when aquascaping a tank. Um, and you can just kind of lay them in there and then start putting your hardscape over them, and the roots will eventually get into that soil, so they don't have to necessarily be directly under that soil. I just think using those media bags to as containment vessels for the aqua soil seem to be a better idea and a better value because you're not wasting um, that, but because it's expensive. Even at $60, I still think it's very expensive for a bag of aqua soil. So, and there's a lot of places in the tank where you're not necessarily going to be growing plants, so you don't need it there. And if you have quarries, well, there goes you trying to keep that delineation that you usually do, where you have just sand and then aqua soil behind. You bake a boundary. Well, if you got fish that'll move the substrate, eventually all that shit gets worked up into the front, and you're having to remove it either with a magnet or trying to push it back. So I think just the media bags all around are a better idea because it just prevents a lot of those headaches.
right,
But I don't know if, when it really comes to making some of these complicated scapes, if that is necessarily going to work. I think for the more of the style like I do, that usually works a little bit better. But if you're trying to do like a diorama, that's probably not the best use of the media bags.
right. Yeah, I actually use media bags in this tank, but I just put aqua soil on top of it. Um, but
Why did you
it'll
not
go
put it in the media bag?
because I needed some depth, so that's why I use aqua soil. So I know what it sounds like, but I didn't have anything like pea gravel or anything to put in these media bags to get the depth for this back wall in this tank. So I actually ended up just really using some aqua soil. I think it was a sponsored video, so I got the aqua soil for free anyway.
Oh, okay.
And I ended up just putting it in the media bags, and then we just put the rocks, the lava rocks on top of that, and then
You
just
did
kind of.
you did something for F zone substrate, right?
Yeah, they wanted
How
me
do you
to do
like
it.
that? Is that a good substrate or not?
I I like it. I like it. I just don't.
That doesn't sound like a very convincing.
No, I like it, but obviously there's pros and cons. But I was the pros is that it is actually a finer substrate than flugel,
Oh, okay.
which means that the granules are smaller. So I do like that, but I just don't like the color of it. It's like
Okay.
brown, like like dark brown. I guess it looks like dirt, but some people just like the peeling black substrate because it just makes all the plants pop. So, but I mean, Everzone is
I think
cool.
that's
It's
one
a
of the
good brand.
that's one of the reasons why I would cap the aqua soils, because I think the sand looks a little bit
More
more
appealing.
natural.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And yeah, I can agree with that. Um, but I just, after just seeing I could grow dwarf hairgrass and sand, like I just feel like,
Yeah, it's there's no point in spending that soil where you could use it somewhere else where a
right,
plant's going to need it
it's
more.
I don't see a point in always using it. So I'm actually about to test myself in this tank. This is my first all sand tank, like no aquascape at all. Strictly, I'm kind of making it easier for myself by strictly using the stem plants. But if I had like some heavy root feeding plants, well, they would definitely probably take some use to getting root tabs. So I mean, we'll definitely try to figure that out in this new tank. But with the weather and everything, man, like my plant sponsor, they sent out like a very huge order, and FedEx is just dropping the ball on it. Like it's been out for delivery for 2 days now, so it just kind of like it's killing me. And I got these fish that's like I need to separate these bettas like mad quick. Like I got 2 male bettas in like a 30-gallon tank right now. Like I don't have nowhere to put them as far as right now, so it's kind of just um shipping in winter is just like the worst time you can order plants, but it's
Yeah.
where you get the most deals at. So it's just coming into winter, you'll start seeing all these companies, all these plant companies, strictly just putting these deals out, 30-40% off. Just kind of making people buy in the winter because that's their downtime when people usually don't buy. So it's just um that. But Nick, I see Nick's in the comment section. He's talking about some no aqua soil. Yes, I still use aqua soil, but I just with me understanding how the plants work, um, you can use sand. There's nothing wrong with using sand only in tanks, as far as you know how that plant works.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, that's probably why I keep saying that jungle veil is my favorite plant. That sucker will grow in anything. I've done experiments in my fish room where I've tried doing the whole like dirted the soil, kind of the typical stuff that I do, and I did one tank that it was just nothing but sand and gravel. That's all it was, inert
hmm
sand and gravel. I put some jungle vow in there. Now here's the truth though. The jungle vow in there might have taken it, I want to say, almost 6 months for it to settle in before it started sending runners off. And I think what it was waiting for the substrate, I guess, to start getting some sort of nutrients in it before it could start sending out the runners, because I had plecos in there and it was a breeding tank for plecos. And it took it about that long before you really started getting a little bit of moam on the surface of
yeah,
the substrate. And once that started happening, that sucker took off, but I didn't have to do anything to it. But that's the reality, though. You could do it. It's just going to take a lot longer than if you use either some sort of root tabs, or you use liquid ferts, or you use aqua soil. The
yeah,
advantage of using those soils is you're going to see results much quicker. Um, I don't know if it was, I think you or Bamba was saying that you could turn around and see results within 30 days if you use the right CO2 uh, active substrate and light. where you really see some tremendous growth in some of the aquascape tanks that you guys set up.
Yeah,
Is
you
that true?
will. I actually, when I built this tank, I pinned all 3 videos on my TikTok of me building the tank, of me planting the tank, and then 28 days after I planted it. So with the light and the ferts, I never touched it. I never trimmed anything. The dwarf hair grass carpet out fully. Basically the plants were over competing each other in the tank, and that was just 28 days worth of growth. And I know a lot of people struggle with certain plants without CO2. Just like CO2 isn't necessary for plants. I mean, it is necessary. It's a necessity for them to use, but to use it in a larger amount is probably not necessary. But they do take advantage of it, and they will benefit from it. But when you have the right lights and the right amount of CO2 going into a tank, you'll typically see those plants start spreading runners pretty quick. Like the dwarf hairgrass, they love it. They love the highlighting. They love the CO2. But you can grow these plants without using CO2. They just grow at a significantly slower level. Um, you can think about like having the right build for a supercharger for a car, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
all CO2 really is just a supercharger that you put
Nitrous.
in. Right. So
Nitrous.
you can, or nitrous, yeah. So you can definitely use it, as needed. But you got those. Sometimes you got those motors or those tanks like LS4 or something like that that might just run all motor, and it's all that the tank needs, right? So you know, when it comes down to CO2, I feel like it's on preference. I know a lot of hobbyists be like, "Oh, you can't use this plant because you need CO2 in it, or you can't use this specific carpeting plant without CO2," which necessarily isn't true. It's just that a lot of people want to see those results faster when it comes to
Yes.
their tank.
Well,
And it's nothing
this is
nothing wrong with that.
this is what I tell people is because aquascaping is a whole different animal. It's like thinking of it as a different sport. If you want to equate it into what in the planet category, your aquascape tanks, like what you guys set up, is like the 100 sprint. It's like it's got to be
Yeah,
there quick. Whereas mine are more of the marathon. I'm in for the long run. It's not having to meet a deadline. And the reason is because if you're going to compete, especially with the what is it, the ICLIP or whatever, that big competition that happens in Japan. Well, there's a certain time where you can start building, and then there's a deadline by the time you have to submit your picture. And
right,
in order to be able to submit that picture, your tank has to be fully established how you want it to look. But it's a very short window of time, so you have to get it there as quickly as possible. That's why they created all these additives that you guys are using nowadays, is for that purpose. It
right.
was really intended to get the maximum out of that tank in the shortest amount of
Amount of
time
time.
possible for a picture. And I remember hearing, I forgot who it was, that he said all aquascaping is it's a photograph competition, because at the end of the day, they're not really looking at your tank. What they're judging it is based on the picture that you took. So
Right.
I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, oh, it's interesting, because at the end of the day, it's in reality it's just a photograph competition. It's not necessarily an aquascaping competition.
Right.
It is,
That's
but it isn't.
yeah. And sometimes like when people ask me, not to mention that, man, sometimes people ask me like, man, what do you rate my tank? And I'm like when I was being honest, people was getting pissed off, but like now I started to kind of reflect on that. So it's kind of like someone asked me what the tank looks like, and I'm like, oh yeah, man, it looks pretty good, because at the end of the day, it's still based on their level of perception. So um
Well,
like for
here's the
instance,
thing. Here's the thing with that. You can't get offended if you're asking other people to judge your own personal tank. If you're asking
right,
people to give you a response, you shouldn't get offended if they give you their opinion on it, because nobody asked you to put your stuff out there. You're the one that's requesting feedback. Now, again, this is where I found it really interesting when Bamba and Nick were doing this whole judging these aquascapes. The problem is there's different levels. It's like everything. There's different styles, different levels.
hmm
What you would see at an event like the Keystone Clash, number one, they're probably not necessarily true aquascapers. They're people that keep aquariums that like decorating tanks. I think that would be the most appropriate definition of that, because for the most part, that's what they do. They'll have aquarium tanks and they decorate them to how they feel, but it's not
Right.
going to meet the requirements for an aquascaping competition. And even with an aquascaping competition, there's different styles. You have the diorama styles, you have the
With the
natural styles.
nature. Yeah.
Yeah, so even there, it breaks off into these other niches and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, if they're asking you, you're going to base your opinion on the type of scaping you're doing, which is going to be very different than if that does the style that I do, where it's more, just kind of plant it here and let it grow out. They're different. At the end of the day, we are both accomplishing very different goals. Um, you know, this is really more just a planet tank. That's an aquascape tank, what you have behind you, because it had purpose, intention. It was you before setting it up had already envisioned what it was going to look like, and you were trying to fulfill that vision that you had by doing the things that you did.
Right.
Whereas mine, it was kind of like, oh, I think this plant might look good here, and I think this plant might look here, and it wasn't anything that was really, really thought out too far in advance. And but it's just different. It's different styles. Yours is more for a competition background kind of style, whereas mine is just kind of like, nah, it's just a planet tank. It's got some plants in there, and it just kind of looks different. So
Yeah,
it's
I'm
just
sorry, niggas in the comment section.
this is a stream just for Jorge to explain away why his tanks look that way. I mean, they look that way because I don't. They're just plants. I'm not. I mean,
Yeah,
I
it's
think
just
about as far as the planting goes is I'm obviously looking. I know which plants tend to grow taller, so those are always going to go further back. Although I've
right.
done
So
the opposite.
you still are following some of the rules. So I want to touch bases on that because when you call a tank setup an aquascape, you're already
Yes.
objectifying that as a piece of art. So it's just like anybody can say anything they want to about it. So it's kind of like a tank setup and a aquascape are two separate things because the word aquascaping was defined by Takashi Yamano.
Yeah.
So like sometimes when people just be like, I might comment on the tank. I'm like, hey man, overall, the plant growth looks good. It's cool, but it'll look better if you take these background plants that you got on the front of the glass and just move them to the back. They'll be like, no, no. I'm like, okay, man. Well, that's okay, that's you, man. It's all cool. I'll just put my little spin on it. But I'm not like I've only been in this hobby for I don't know what. I'll be a year in April. So I mean, I haven't been in the hobby long, so I'm still practicing. And I always tell myself that I don't like call myself a professional or a an expert aquascape or those things, those names in that nature, because I'm always learning. I will always be a beginner because I'm just always on there. Like I can see if I had like brand endorsements and stuff. Well, I do have a plant endorsement, but I don't have like aquascape and stuff. Like when people like Aqua Colorado is just sending me rocks and wood and stuff for me to showcase. But like, I don't call myself like a expert aquascaper. But at the end of the day, like I feel like sometimes people just art is just so subjective. I can think about it how if I see it. So if I see a tank, I can tell somebody I'm like I don't really like the tank. They're like, well, why don't you like it? And I'm like, well, I feel like it just doesn't have any depth. It's just so flat and it's not really appealing. And then that person can just be like, "Oh, well, like f you." Like I don't really. I'm like, okay, well, like just
Well, see,
understand that.
that's where
You
I
know,
that's where I say, well, don't if you're asking for feedback, but you don't like the feedback you're getting, it's not on the person giving the feedback that has the problem. It's you,
right,
because you shouldn't have. If you're going to get offended by what somebody had to say, that's on you. You should if you wouldn't have asked, they would have never have said anything. They're not offering. You're not offering up your opinion just for offering it up.
right. And constructive criticism is just one thing in this hobby that people kind of don't really accept. Like especially when it comes to like plants. Oh my gosh. We gonna put Nick in timeout. Well, we like when you try to tell people about like plant deficiencies or like something going on with their fish, they're automatically like straight up defensive, like quit. So it's kind of just I kind of got away from it because I started a series when I first got on TikTok of Tank Rank. I was like the first person to ever start rating aquascapes ever. So when I started rating these scapes, like I'm like, oh, this is a 3 or this is a 4. I don't really like this because of this, but I do like. I would give some pros and some cons. There's always a pro or there's always a con when it comes to aquascaping. So even with my scapes, there's pros and cons about it. Um, Someone could tell me they don't like something, and I'll try to see their viewpoint. And if I can implement it in how my ideas run in my head, then so be it. I'll put it in there. Easy
Yeah.
has a question.
Well, let me see. Oh, let me put them up here on so we can read it. It says, "How about when people accept criticism, critics, but their critics leave?
How
About
about
their
when
critics
people critiques about their
accept
critique?
critiques."
I don't. You're gonna have to rephrase that.
Yeah, I'm kind of not understanding the question.
Nick doesn't. So Nick, this is funny about Nick, and I'm gonna put this out there because Nick doesn't like when I teach beginners. Because Nick was like, I just don't have the time and patience because they be asking some stupid questions. Like you can just Google it and find it. They be like, well, how do you put the moss on the driftwood, or how do you put the Anubias on the driftwood? Like, bruh, he'll say something like, Google it. He wouldn't tell them, man. He would just sit there and say that. But me personally, I'd be like, look, you could use a cyro glue, or you could use 100% cotton or 100% polyester thread, or but it's cool because that initial interaction kind of opens up for other conversations. That's how I see it. Yes, they can definitely go to Google or Chat GPT to figure it out, but sometimes you just need that person to give the extra, go the extra mile for those people because then, like I said, it opens up the room for other conversations. Um, how about when people can't take critiques about their critique? So you're saying like when someone can give an opinion or critique about something, but then when you try to tell them about theirs, they're not accepting it. Is that what you're trying to say?
I don't know. It was I recently heard a podcast that was I found it so fascinating because it's kind of the same opinion that I've had when it comes to aquascaping, and you kind of touched on it. How do you judge art when art is so personal?
Subjective, right?
Yeah, it's based to interpretation of whoever's seeing it. Um, I don't know if you know the name Randy Reed. He's
No, I don't
one
know.
of the guys that works for Aquarium Co-op, but he has his own podcast called the Aquarius podcast, I believe.
Wait, is Randy the
Uh,
bigger guy from
no, that's
Aquarium
Corey.
Corp?
That's Corey. He's
Oh,
from
okay,
Aquarium
okay.
Co-op. This guy he's a different guy. But what I really liked was he interviewed this guy that is he's pretty big on YouTube, but he's not necessarily he doesn't create fish content. I think he talks about fitness and food and does all this other stuff, but he just so happens to like aquariums too. And
Hmm.
recently he started posting. He has this little greenhouse where he set up where it's a greenhouse. He's got some plants and some tanks, and he started posting about that. But the guy has really gotten into aquascaping. I think the guy's name is Adam Ragasi, Ragu. No, what is it? Ragusia,
I
Ragasia.
never heard of these guys. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a big influencer, but not in the aquarium hobby necessarily. But the guy's I forget how many millions of subscribers he's got for whatever he does on his platform. But he recently got the bug for aquascaping, and one of his critiques was he goes all these competitions, and I kind of had the same feeling when Nick was doing the winners of this last year.
Hmm.
Was I was looking at tanks, and the ones that weren't placing as high as I thought they should have were breaking the mold. I guess they didn't follow this. They all look like underwater forests. The ones that placed high in that competition, they were all basically a carbon copy of the same style. They all looked like a forest. They all had a little pathway, and they had a little pinpoint at the end to create that depth perception. And the ones that won all had that similar structure where it looked like big trees in the front, and as the vision went in further, it looked like smaller trees, smaller trees, smaller trees.
Right, creating
But
that depth.
all the ones that were in the high ranking were basically the same aquarium. And he goes, there's got to be a competition. He goes, the problem with that is those are all ADA scapes. He goes, and they all follow that same pattern for ADA, and those are the only ones that are ever going to win. Is the ones that adhere to that style. He goes, I'd love to see a competition where it opens it up a little bit more, and it's more on the visceral result from people watching and going, I like that tank. Why do I like it? I don't have to explain to you why I like that tank, but there's just something about it that makes it just stand out that much more than the other ones.
Yeah,
And he goes,
it resonates with you.
yeah, and I've always been of that opinion. I mean, don't get me wrong, those tanks, there's no way in hell I would get close to mimicking what they've done, because their skill levels are way too high. But the truth is,
It's
if
not
you
that
look at
it's not that sorry to cut you off. It's not that the skill
yeah,
level is high. It's just that they take the time to do it. So like
well, there's a lot of skill involved though.
I
There
mean,
is
yeah, you got your experience, but if you take if say like you rush escape just to put a fish in, I mean, like for instance, like a lot of people don't add the detail when it comes to aquascaping. They don't like how did that get there? You can't just have a piece of tree in the middle of the scape and then like it don't have no roots, no rocks around it. You know, like how did it just magically appeared in the scape? Like like just try to make it look as natural as possible. But it's just like you said, it's just the time and the experience learning it. Like you said, you for the long run. If you put as much as time as it took for your plants to grow in, because I don't think you have any CO2 setups, right?
mm,
Into aquascaping, like I'm pretty sure you could create something like that you probably thought you couldn't create.
yeah, yeah. You'll surprise yourself when you start playing around with it. Uh, what you can accomplish. Uh, I think also what has happened now. When I first started trying to do this stuff, I didn't have access to buy. I'm in a really weird situation because I don't have any local fish stores around me,
Hmm.
and the only store that I have access to anything that comes remotely um, aquarium related is a Petco. That's it. There is no
Yep.
local shop. There is nothing. So the way I kept acquiring stuff is whenever I would travel either to the Phoenix area or the San Diego area, I would pick up a couple of plants, bring them back, try to propagate them in my tanks. I had 10-gallon tanks that I would set up for propagation and trying to get more plants. I'm at the point now where I have plenty of tanks throughout all my tanks that I can set up a tank and have a good variation of plants in the aquarium because I
Right.
have access to that many plants. I know you were listening in when I said, man, it's one of the things when you want to start aquascaping is plants are expensive. That's probably one of your biggest costs that people don't really realize, especially if you start getting into some of the rarer plants.
Yeah.
Like if you start messing around with buse and stuff like that,
Hmm.
it's quickly going to add up, and it's a really small plant, and you're going to need a bunch to make it give it the effect you're trying to do, which is why the smaller tanks make sense. Because you're
Right.
dealing with, you can have easily a 10-gallon tank or a 13-gallon tank, and easily have about 1,200, $2,200 put into it and just plants, because to make it give it that effect that you wanted to have.
Yeah. Everybody likes the full lush effect. You know. My bad. I think Luis asked a question in the chat that I wanted to go back and
Okay, let me find it.
I can't even scroll through. I think she said, "How could we judge a beautiful tank with living things in or something like that?"
Wow, they're busy in the chat. I can't see. It must have been further back, further back.
Yes, I hate
Luis.
magic trees that appear out of nowhere, Nick. Yes, I do.
Wow, did I skip it? Let me see. I must have skipped that comment because I don't see it.
Let me see if I can find it. I might be able to just to phrase it. Okay, so oh no, this is Nick talking about aqua soil.
Yeah, disregard anything Nick has to say. He's not very smart.
Yeah, that guy's a joke.
We just keep him around. You know how every group of friends have to have that one weird friend. That's the only reason he hangs around is because he's the one weird friend that always hangs around with the group.
Yeah, man. Like
He's a pity friend.
if this guy had his way, we would have no fee fi fo fum. That's crazy word. Oh,
Well,
okay. So I was going to phrase the question. So I think Luis was saying like, how do we judge, stuff with living creatures and plants and stuff in it? Um, y'all have to look up the term aquascape because it's rules to it. So when like I was telling George, if we're calling tanks aquascape, then anybody can say anything about it. So it's kind of just like um, when you look at an aquascape, you expect it to have depth. You expect it to have those smaller plants in the front, those taller plants in the back. So if it's anything that's like outside of that, then it's just really a tank setup, nothing more. Um, and that's just that term was just defined by Takashi Amano. So it's just like a lot of people just kind of don't know the information behind it, but the aquascaping comes from him. And if you do some research on it, you'll definitely find some nice information on him and like how he created aquascapes and mimicking the natural habitat of a whatever's inhabiting the tank. So if you look at that stuff, you'll definitely see what I'm saying.
Now, but
Um,
see, that's where it gets a little bit muddled because you have aquascapers that are professional aquascapers
mhm.
where they dumb down the definition of an aquascape because their argument is the minute you put anything in an aquarium, technically it's considered aquascape. Whether it's
Yeah,
colored gravel, whether it's a ceramic figurine, the minute you're adding a decoration to an aquarium, that technically is aquascaping. But I think competitive aquascaping is really where the difference is. Um, because even this, some people would argue is aquascaping. Yours is aquascaping. Anything that you purposely add in there to add some sort of effect is considered aquascape. But I think
I mean, I could get.
for
Yeah,
competition,
I could
there's
see
a
that.
very defined set of guidelines that you have to adhere to be able to be in that competition. So I get that.
Yeah, and we can really like be like semantical about it, but it's I guess it's pushed to artistic feel as far as in what it is, but there are like rules and guidelines of it, as far as in the foreground and the midground, and planting and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's all subjective. So I mean, like anybody can think whatever they want about it. But I do feel like a media is pushed as far as in what an aquascape is supposed to look like. You know what I mean? Like that desired look. You know how like you was in school and you would be like a new Jordan came out or something like that, and everybody had that Jordan, but that as long as you had that Jordan, you know that you was that guy or whatever, or the new shoe or the new, pair of Amiri jeans or something like that, right? I feel like it's kind of like the same way with aquascaping, which is kind of like making it more competitive. Um, but I do feel like if you do stick in those guidelines for aquascape, the skate will pop a lot more. It's like literally like a base, and when I say that, it's kind of like there's different aquascapes. So me personally, I freehand everything, but you can go into iwagumi styles, or you can go into a Dutch, or like a nature style. Dutches are pretty easy. Anybody can make any a Dutch look good. Like the baseline and the rules for a Dutch aquascape, it's like it's very hard to mess up. But what does Dutch require? Dutch requires you can do a low tech Dutch, or you'll be I think a high tech Dutch just looks better to me, but the plants get better color and better growth. Or you could do an iwagumi with something simple where like it's 3 or 4 big rocks and it's carpeting plants. And you can even add mid ground and background plants. Me personally, I did start at Iwagumi, but I put my little spin on it because it's just, my artistic field. So
Yeah.
if I display a tank like on TikTok or something like that, then by all means, I'm welcoming people to put their opinion on the tank regardless. You know,
I
you said,
recently found you're talking about the Dutch aquascapes. Let me share this with you. I thought this was I found a guy that created like a modular system for planet tanks, and it seems to work
oh, I've
perfectly.
seen him. Talking about the guy with
It's
the tray.
yeah, the one fish tank guy. Let me see. Let me see if it'll let me share it because I pulled up his.
I
There it
definitely
is.
like the idea, but I just don't like that. I wish he created room so you can cover up the front part
Oh,
of the tank.
the front
I
part of the
just
tank.
don't like that part. Yeah.
Let me see. I've got to find the one where I think it's a short. Yeah, it's got to be a short. Where he
Yeah,
just
that's
goes
just.
over it.
Oh, sorry, I was looking at a comment. Yeah, that's just easy. That's just easy because there is rules. It's gonna look good.
Yeah, this is the setup that he has. Um, Obviously, this is just he's growing out some dwarf sedge. Oh no, that's not the one. He's got one where he was showing how he. Let me find it. That's the. What the hell is that commercial? No, that's not it. Wow, let me go back and find it. There's somebody on the toilet. I was like, yeah, that's got to be a commercial.
Oh, sorry. Why are you finding that? Mary, the polar palms aren't in the water at all. They're sitting on top of lava rocks that I have built in the top of the tank. So their stems aren't in the water. The only thing that's in the water are their roots. So that's how you keep the plant above water. You can do baskets on the back of the tank. That only the roots are running, but that's the only thing in the poly pond. They're not aquatic, they're a terrestrial plant. As long as you don't have the base submerged into the water, you're good. But they're sitting on top of lava rocks, which is why it's kind of working out.
Yeah, this is whole modular system that he set up, and I thought it was pretty ingenious.
It
But yeah,
is.
I agree with you. I agree with you in the fact that if he had left a little bit of room so that you could put some sand or something to cover up the lip of the plastic, it would have been much better. But I reached out to this guy. I really hope that he responds to me because I'd love to have him on as a guest and talk to him about what he set up because I find it very interesting. I think it's very innovative. Um, and it's cool because you can change the look of your it was like I equated to changing your sneakers to fit your outfit or your occasion.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He did do a great job marketing that. Now I definitely would use it, George. I will put it in one of my propagation, like my HDX bins. I will put it in one
Yeah.
of those and I can plant in those, and use it in that matter. So I would me personally, I think it's a great product and I would definitely 100% use it, but I probably won't never use it in an actual aquascape.
Yeah, he was doing something where he did a Dutch, and it was really nice because it kept all his stem plants. That's the whole thing about Dutch style setups is that you got to have the groups, the bunches of the different colors here and there. I think for that kind of does serve that purpose. I think for propagating plants is the perfect setup. But I just like the fact that it's something different out there. Somebody came up with something innovative and something that could I like the idea of being able to pull out the entire thing and swapping it out with a different look if you get tired of the look of that aquarium.
Yeah, and it's a lot of people were I think a lot of people were commenting on it. And when I was going over the comments on Instagram and how the same issue that I would have, but a lot of people sometimes want to just focus on just strictly just aquascapes. Like I get it, they're cool, but even me, like I'm focusing more on my plants more than I am on my fish sometimes, and it kind of just delays me on certain things or the way I think. But sometimes like I don't think you could be a good aquascaper without doing both. And when I say that, I mean the entire tank. So everything that's living in the tanks, the plants, the fish, you have to be able to take care of your fish, and you have to be able to take care of your plants. Like you said, there's always people that just create the look of an aquascape, but they don't never really do anything after that.
Well,
So
I think the the situation with aquascapes by nature is that their setups are that are temporary. That's really what they are. I mean, if you think of the
yeah,
competitive aquascape, it's a temporary setup again to get to that final that one precise moment where it's at its peak, snap a picture, submit it to a competition. Because you
yeah,
rarely see aquascapes that are kept way beyond their that point. You know, again, it's a lot of it is also money. Imagine if you're competing every year, you're going to have an accumulation of tanks. You know that you're always having to
yeah.
buy a
They'll
new tank,
just
and a lot of these get recycled. You know that's the whole thing. You have this really nice aquarium. Usually it's one of those P90s or whatever they call them, and you know you're gonna break it down because you want to reuse it. That's typically what aquascaping really revolves around. Now, where did he go? I are you? I see him over here. I don't know why he dropped out. Oh no, that's something else. That's the guy that I was talking about earlier. Let me get this guy off of here. I want um I want Ronnie to get back because I want to ask him about um the the idea that supposedly aquascapers set up aquascapes, not really necessarily taking into consideration the fish. There he is.
I don't know why it keeps doing that.
I don't know.
I
Oh, I was going to ask you. There's always, I guess there's like I wouldn't say, I guess two camps if you want to call it that, but it's I don't really look at it that way. Most of us that keep fish,
hmm
it's usually we think of the fish first and then the environment that they're going to be in. And there's a concept or an idea that aquascapers worry more about what the tank looks and the fish are a afterthought. Is that really true, or is aquascaping also taking into consideration the fish you're going to be putting in there, where they're just not a decoration only, or to prove that it has water in the aquarium? Because that's the argument that some people say about aquascaping is the only reason they have fish in there is to demonstrate that there's actually water in the aquarium. It's not just air.
Now there, I guess that depends on the aquascaper. Me personally, um, I build the tanks how what fish that I want to have in it. So like I explained, that this specific setup right here is built. If I did end up adding any fish down the road, this is strictly just a shrimp tank. So they have a section where it's only available for them to get in. No fish can get in a upper section on that. So it's like that song, or that Chris Brown song. He was like, "I don't see how you hate from this side of the club. You can't even get in." That's kind of like how that's set up. So not only that, but I always do have a fish in mind because that's why I'm getting Nick out of here.
He wants to know why you guys use poverty fish.
So I've had very bad experience with getting fish from online, and most of my local stores they aren't that great. So I have to use like Ember Tetras, or I actually ended up getting my hands on Von Rio Flame Tetras, which was my dream fish.
Oh, those are my favorite.
So I have 10 of those, and I made escape specifically for them. And then the way that I plant is by color. So for when I made the forest tank for my red betta, you can see that on my TikTok. I don't have the tank anymore. I had to break most of my tanks down in order to move. I made the entire tank just straight green. The betta is hot fire red. That betta is going to pop. So I made that tank for that betta, and it just looks good. It just looks like he's in a grassy field with tree lines and a cave. And you typically you really should make the scape on what you feel like
what fish is going to be in the tank. Honestly, my honest opinion on that. I know there is aquascapers that like will create an iwagumi. They be like, oh, I'll just do an iwagumi. We'll probably throw some some chili raspberries. That's like the go-to, right? The chili raspberries.
Yeah. Yeah, that or neon tetras.
Right, because it's just a smaller fish that is readily available. Now I can't get my hands on any chili raspberries for some reason. I don't. You're out there in California. I actually put an order in for I think it was coastal something aquatics. They have
Is it
like
Coastal Gem Aquatics out of
yep,
San Diego?
coastal gym aquatics. I ordered 20 chili raspberries. Now that was a lot of bread. I ordered 20
Yeah.
chili raspberries and I got them. Man, they was all DOA. It was all DOA. Like I never had any like good experience with shipping fish, like never. So every time I get a fish, it's something from local or luckily I haven't bought from Nick because you guys be getting my honest opinion on how he ships fish. Like if he ships something bad, I'll be like, yeah, don't order from Nick because Nick doesn't put heating pads in or something in the box, And I don't think he's licensed, so I probably wouldn't buy from Nick, but that's just my thing on it. But
Let me
yeah, just the common
somebody's
fish
asking
around you. Go
somebody
ahead. I'm
this
sorry.
is totally off topic.
Hmm.
But Kelly Kelly Girl Fish Keeping. I wanted to know if John from KG Tropicals has communicated with me to set up the boxing match with Nick because it seemed like he took it very seriously. No, he hasn't. He hasn't. No se ha comunicado conmigo.
Oh man, Nick ain't gonna get in the ring. If he do, all he gonna do is headbutt people.
Well, Nick's already got. He's starting to get a line of people that want to get a little piece of him because his mouth right checks his ass can't catch.
Oh damn. Damn, yeah, look at
He be
everybody.
poking bears all the time, and one of these days they're gonna catch him. He goes to the same venues that a lot of these people go to.
I was actually thinking about because they were asking me, they're like, "Hey, Ronnie, are you gonna come to any of the Aquashella events, stuff like that?" And I think Bamba and them they want to team up with me, and I think the Aquashella in Jersey, I think, in the
Yeah.
aquascaping contest. And I was thinking about it. I was like, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to go. I never been to an Aquashella event, so I don't know how it is there. I mean, have you ever been to one of those events?
No, I haven't. I missed out the one this year. I was going to go to the one up in LA, but we had a family situation, and I had to cancel last minute. But yeah, if they're not coming out here this year. I think what they're doing with LA is every other year, but I definitely want to go to that. As far as competing, I don't know how that works. I don't know if you have to. It used to be they couldn't get enough people to join those competitions that they would just drag people out of the crowd sometimes to do it. Now I think they're big enough now. I think where they're bringing in some of the renowned aquascapers and they'll set up teams and I don't know, but I don't know how that. You know who would be able to tell you specifically about that is Shelby from Garden of Eden
Mm.
because I think she's in charge of putting that event together.
I think there was we talked to a lady on TikTok where she said she's always at the events, and she said that this year they're doing
Yeah, that's
teams.
Shelby. It's probably Shelby.
Yeah, I
She
think
does
it was.
aquascaping.
Yeah, she was like telling us like good luck because Ben, I think Ben Bamba, it was like yeah, like come team up with us on the event. And I was like, yeah, let me see what I can do. And Nick's aquascaping license is expired. He never got one. He
Nick
don't
can't
have a
even keep
decent
fish
tank.
alive. How is he going to aquascape?
He can't. Nick doesn't even have a decent tank.
His are nothing but algae tanks. That's the plant that he grows is algae.
That's crazy work. Cause let me tell you, Nick's coach has failed him as well. Bamba, they need to do better. Those skates don't look good. Well, Nick's skates don't. Bama got some decent skates, but Nick's skates just are horrendous. He had a fake
Yeah.
aquascaping ID. Well, I'm part of the Aquascaping Federal Bureau. We're gonna have to get him. Yeah, we're gonna have to get him up out of here. Dick, thank you for reporting him. We're gonna lock him up, and we're gonna throw him in with a bunch of aero armors or something like that in the tank. Hopefully, they get him.
Throw him in a piranha tank.
Yeah, I love aquascaping, man. I've always found like something tedious for me to do because I've always had I had contracts when I was when I was in the videography stuff. I had contracts with motorsport shops. I had contracts with Dodge and Kernersville. Like I had like solo contracts with exotic car shops in Charlotte, North Carolina, and stuff like that. So I always had an eye like the rule of thirds and all this other stuff. Like so when it came to aquascaping, like it was easy because I can use my tenacious eye and kind of just pictures how I wanted something to look, like the nature. Like a lot of stuff that you see like in movies is like Avatar.
Yeah.
Like I try to create that stuff. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like certain nature, like stuff. I just replicate nature. That's all I do is try to a landscape. It could be something like in the winter, or it could be something like a side of a mountain or a cliff or something like. I try to copy the look of nature on my tank. So I freehand everything. I don't follow most of the rules, but um, that's kind of where people get irritated because sometimes they can't get something to look a specific way. And don't think that you're stuck in certain situations just because you get a piece of wood that's ugly looking or a rock that's not rigid enough. Y'all don't be scared to break up these rocks with a hammer or scared to cut the pieces of wood up into multiple pieces. And then it's not meant for it to look like that. When you get wood, you're looking at it at a bigger scale. Scale it down. Break the wood up, cut it up in multiple pieces, reglue it together as best as you can.
I'm trying to look. There's a kid on Instagram that I follow. God, I can't remember what his name is. He does the car videos. Usually he walks up to people at gas stations and he tells them, "Oh, you got a nice looking car."
Oh,
What's
yeah.
his name?
I think Noah.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. No, no. Well, anyways, I was going to ask you, is that the type of videos
Yep.
you were filming? Oh, okay, I love
My
those. I think
Instagram is still up if you want to pull it up. You can pull my Instagram
oh,
up for my videography page.
what was the name of the channel on there?
It was Ronnie, RONNIE .clips with a K.
Ah, that's the other thing I was going to ask you. Where did the name originate? Is it? I was thinking. What I was thinking is, were you trimming plants and that's why you call it clipping? You know.
Nah, that's not why.
But now it kind of makes sense.
Look at Nick and Bama in the comments trying to get
Oh yeah,
mad.
here you are. Look at you,
Come on.
looking all fresh. Oh, it
Yeah,
really doesn't bring up the.
if you want, you can run some of the videos up, man.
Oh, let me see. Let me see. Shit, I'll do it on my computer. Hold on, because I don't have Instagram on my computer. I don't think.
What
Let
happened?
me.
Is an example of how we don't treat each other. I know all of them on a personal level. I know Nick. I know Bama. That's why I'm just the way I'm talking to him is just that's just
Yeah,
how we talk.
that's people might have missed that, but I know Bamba, you, Ben, and who's the other gentleman that you guys are always streaming together? Is it Daniel?
Hell, I barely be on them joints now. I forgot. I think Daniel Palmer.
Yeah,
Yeah, he be on there sometimes. Not the Nikon.
but
I ain't never seen no Nikon. I had a Canon R5.
all right. So now let me find your channel here. I was my Instagram God, these really switched up the. It is totally different. Where's the search? I feel like a newbie. Well, I am a newbie, but that's home. Where's the damn magnifying glass? You search it on the platform here. Oh, here it is. Search.
That makes it
There he
justifiable.
is.
I think you're taking it too personal. Like they're not even taking it personal. But those are my friends. That's just how we talk.
Oh, who's getting on you? Let me see.
Some guy's named Jacob.
Oh, I don't. Jacob. I don't know who that is. I mean, I've seen the name, but I don't think I've met Jacob.
I don't know
Let
who
me
that is.
see. I know I've seen him in some of the live streams and my live streams too. There we go. Let's get into this.
Let me see. You can pick anything you feel like is amusing. You can play it.
Oh, this is a rainy day. Is that your car or you? Is that yours?
No, it was a client.
Oh, okay.
We had a storm during the. He's part of a racing team. We had a storm
Okay.
during the shoot, and it ended up like just the weather going crazy in Charlotte. So this is the one I like. This is like something that I slowed down on.
Oh, the guy can drive.
Yeah, he's really he actually goes out to the tracks. But he actually drifts and stuff.
Yeah, there's a pretty big guy here on in the fish community. I don't know if you know Jimmy Gimbal.
Jimmy Gimbal. It sounds familiar. What did he do?
He used to be the editor for Aquarium Co-op, and then now I think he works with Fritz.
Mm.
He's their video editor, but he's also big into. He's got a really nice car. It's a Supra, and he always does videos similar to this, of his own car. But and I think he was actually racing for a while. But yeah, this is nice. Using a drone.
Nah, I was using a 15 millimeter on a long pole.
Oh, okay. They gave it that drone effect.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for a while there, I thought that was like a scale car. It didn't look real for a minute, but I can see it is a real car now. The quality of what are you? Well, obviously you're using. What kind of camera are you using?
It was a Canon R5. It was shot 4K 60. This guy right here was the first person in the States to have this Pandem wide body kit on an MK5 Supra.
It's a nice looking car. That's kind of like I think the one that Jimmy Gimbal has, but his right now is green. He's painted it like a bunch of different colors.
Yeah, I love the car community, man. Just I had some life changing stuff that happened. I had to sell all my gear and kind of just start over, but I just went with another hobby this time. But that's what I did on the side. I did want to ask you because you said Fritz. Um, where do you rank? Where do you rank? I don't know why my mind's going a blank right now. The Fritz dechlorinator or whatever, this Fritz 7 versus damn, why can I think of it? It's a Cesium brand. It's their dechlor. I forgot the name of it. It's like safe and
Prime.
something else. Yeah, Prime. How do you? Because I saw like they came out with some scientific evidence about Cesium Prime not like it dechlorinates the water, but it doesn't get rid of the ammonia. But this,
Yeah, you know what? I am the worst person to ask about any chemicals in the aquarium. I don't use anything. Um, for the longest time, what I was using, and I'm kind of looking around because I don't know where I left it. But if you go to like Walmart or any of
yeah.
the stores, they have these inline water filters, the carbon block filters.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I use for the longest time to do water changes.
Hmm.
I was using
So-
water from the tap, running it, and it's like a little cylinder. Oh, let me see. I forget that I'm usually not on my computer, but let me bring them up, and I'll show you what they are.
I could put one on the water hose.
Yep.
Hmm.
And I used that for the longest time. These right here, and they're not very expensive for the amount of water changes that I was doing. I ran them for about a year before, and I only replaced it because I thought it was a long time because it had been a year since I had they're like these right here, these blue RV inline carbon blocks, and that's all it is. It's a little carbon block that's in there. You can see it. I don't know if it's. Let me see if it's on the.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, and it's got a regulator that they usually sell to you, so that it steps down the pressure coming out of the water hose, and that excuse me, I used that for years.
How big?
I used that for years. They're probably about 12 inches, and probably about 2.5 inch diameter, somewhere around there. And
okay.
they were great. I mean, they did exactly what I needed them to do. And they came in twos. And the only reason I said I replaced it after a year was because I couldn't remember when was the last time I had replaced it. And
did you ever? Oh, sorry. Did you ever test the TDS after using it?
I don't test for shit. I don't test anything. I don't look. I didn't buy it. They actually gave me this test strips. It's got 100 in there. I still have a ton of them because I don't test anymore. I don't even do water test anymore. But that's just because I don't know why, because I'm too lazy, I guess. I mean, I've got to a point now where I can figure out.
I mean, I'm like that too. I ain't touched this water, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna cap. When I moved to here, I didn't even test the water for the tap. I was so tired.
I mean, I've never worried about pH. I've never worried about KH. I know we have hard water by default because that's how our tanks out here in Arizona have that scale line where the water evaporates. It's just the hardness is through the roof. That is just a given. So even when I do test, it's beyond whatever range it could test. I just know we have really hard water. Any harder and we'd be able to walk on it. That's how hard it is. But again, that's why the plants that I keep are the ones that I don't have to do anything to my water. They're going to do okay. And because that whole when I first got in, I was thinking, I'm going to set up an RO system. Yeah. But when I found out that it takes forever to fill up a 55-gallon trash can or whatever, I was like, man, that's too much. It's too much work. And then you have to remineralize and do all these other. I'm like, nah, I want to keep it simple. I'm going to use tap water. I have a pond in the backyard. I just top it off with the water hose, straight water hose water. And nothing happens to the fish. The fish are fine. But I don't go preaching that to everybody that, don't use any of the products. Use whatever products you feel comfortable using. I don't do it. The reason I stopped using those carbon blocks is because I ended up putting one of those whole house water systems softeners.
Yeah.
And when they were putting it in, you know how you have the big carbon resin thing that they set up to remove all the stuff out of the impurities out of the water. Well, I had them install a water bib, a tap, as soon as it comes out of there before it goes into the salt. So I just use straight tap water that eliminates, any heavy materials from it and eliminates the chlorine. So it's just straight tap water. That's all I'm using, but I can do that because, like I said, I have that big old resin carbon block thing that they set up.
That helps out.
But I was lucky when they were setting it up. When the guy was selling it, I go, I need I need 2 ask out of your system. He goes, and I said, I need to have a tap when it goes through the carbon block because I'll get rid of the inline filters. That's basically a big, gigantic inline filter that I have. And then for a while there, I've kind of wanted to do like Caradina shrimp because I think they're cooler. Honestly, they're much
They are
nicer.
cooler, yeah. Yeah.
But I don't want to deal with soft water and remineralizing. I don't want to do all that shit. And I thought that I would be able to use the soft water, but it's not. I still have to get that. It's softer, but it's not soft water.
Yeah. I agree with that because trust me, I had like we got into this house January. So when we was in the apartment, I had an RO system just because I actually like I actually want to do a tank with series, so which is this tank right here, obviously, but you need RO water. But I always ran test strips when I first came into the hobby. Nobody told me about the liquid test stuff until I started posting on Facebook. I'm like, is this good? Is this good? It was like, why are you using strips? And I'm like,
Okay, I have the whole. When it comes to the accuracy of the test strips and the liquid stuff, it's very minimal the difference. It's
Is
probably
it?
like a 0.2 difference.
Okay.
It's insignificant. Now, I always discourage people from using the liquid one. And here's why. It's a pain in the ass to do.
It
This,
is.
you dip it and you get an idea where it's at. That's it.
Yeah,
Because that's all you're really
definitely.
trying to figure out is where it's at. If there's any drastic increases, you're gonna do a water change. That's all you're doing. That the whole liquid things, people after a while don't do the testing because you got to do so many different tests, and then you got to shake the bottles X amount of times. You got to make sure you agitate it hard enough to be able to do it to get the results that are very, very minimal difference. And the reason I know that is because Corey from Aquarium Co-op did a test on the Tetra test strips and the API water kit. They're very. It's not where I would be super freaked out on the differences from the strips to the liquid stuff. It's minuscule.
Yeah.
They're both pretty accurate. And
Okay. Yeah, I can
so
see that.
and then with the liquids, if you run out, then you can run the test. These, the other thing is you can cut these in half, and now you have twice as many.
So
And
I wanted to ask, like, because when I first got into the hobby, like I bought my water to Petco, and they used some of their test strips to test it, and like it was showing like my GH was high, like my KH was high, like my pH was high, like everything was high with the test strips. So I was like, let me post and see what people say about test strips. So I ended up using liquid test strips. And my water it was really soft in my apartment. It was like a 2 GH, like 1 KH, and then my pH was like a 7.6. And I was like, damn, I'm like, I could have been had Sirius Stone in that tank, like it would have been fine, but
see, that whole scape that affects water parameters, I call bullshit on it. And here's why. I call bullshit on it.
mhm,
If the minerals would dissolve within a matter of hours, got released from that rock into your water column, I would say okay. But the reality is most people do weekly water changes. So any excess that could potentially be there from the minerals of the rocks, you're changing them out week by week. So, at the end of the day, I use rocks from wherever. I don't follow that whole put vinegar or muriatic acid. I don't give a shit.
that
Now,
doesn't
the
really
other thing
help.
is,
All that does is knock off the dirt. That don't really.
and the reality is my water's so hard that it's not going to be able to dissolve any more solids into my water column. I don't know which fish are affected necessarily by a high number of dissolved mineral, content other than shrimp, the Caridina shrimp.
Yeah.
Um,
Neo
because
and
eels love it, snails love it, most
yeah.
fish that I keep love it. So unless you're trying to breed some saltwater fish, where's the only place where I could see that being an issue. But other than that, I don't buy that whole argument that rocks will affect your water parameters. You would have the only way I would see that is if you left it a whole year and never did a water change, and all you did was top offs. Then I would say okay, because by doing top offs, all you're doing is all that excess amount of minerals that are in there are not being extracted. But the minute you do a water change, you're removing anything that could be excessive in the aquarium. So
Yeah.
you
I
know,
mean,
I just don't see it.
I can see where you're coming from, but the Sirius stone, which is just limestone, it does leak calcium into the water column, making it more harder.
But how fast?
I wouldn't say not a drastic change, but it's good to because when you do like heavily planted tanks, you're not really I don't really do water changes unless it's a high tech and I'm dosing. Like I think when I had a low tech tank that was heavily planted, carpeted with pearl weed, there was no space left to plant. I never did a water change on the tank. 8 months ran, never did a water change on it. And I had slate, so it was inert, so nothing leaked into the water column. But when I did start my first aquarium, I used a whole bunch of Sirius stone in the tank, and it did go up. So the TDS, I tested it with a TDS meter. So when I tested from the moment where I put RO water into a Sirius stone tank, and it was about 70, and then I waited a week later, and it was like I don't know, like 120. I mean, it wasn't that drastic of a change.
What was it hurting though?
The GH, sometimes with Neos, the GH can prevent them from molting, and then they end up getting trapped into that mode
But
where
if
they
it's too
can,
low, right?
if it's too
That's only
high.
if it's too low. If it's too high,
Yeah, if it's too high, if it's too though, if the water is too hard, they can't molt. So hard water kind of prevents them from doing that. You kind of gotta have the sweet spot between like maybe like an 8 or 10 GH. I think like with the Sirius stone, like my GH was like a 16. But I guess like when I was using like inert stones and stuff like that, like I never did a water change. Everything
yeah.
was perfectly fine. All I did was top offs. But now I do water change because I'm running CO2, I'm running FERTs, highlighting, um, and high tech setups. So it's now I'm doing water change. When I was low tech, even with aqua soil, I was never doing water
Now let
changes.
me ask you this: did you actually see Neil's not being able to bolt when the
Yeah, when I first
you
got
did?
when I had my first tank, I take run for like a month and a half. You can see like the biofilm and everything on the rocks. I had plenty of food and stuff like that for them. Um, I didn't know anything about the GH. So when I had got, all I wanted was shrimp tank. That's all I was ever interested in. I got shrimp. They came in, and I found like when you first put shrimps in the tank, they're gonna automatically molt because they're getting a new set of parameters. They got drip acclimated. Yeah, that's cool. But then when you put them in the tank, um, they start molting. You can see them. I had some of the deaths. They were stuck in the middle of a molt and they couldn't get
Okay.
out. And when I tested the water, it was at like 16 GH. So it kind of does like the hard water does affect them. But Amanos, on the other hand, like Caradinas and stuff like that, they're a little bit more hardier when it comes to the higher GH. Because like for Amanos, they actually have their larvae stage for their babies in brackish water. So the GH is going to be it's going to be high.
Yeah.
Right. So they're pretty much hardier when it comes to GH.
Yeah, because it's funny because, like I said, my water is like Mike said in there. I've never tested the TDSs in there because I've always heard TDSs are pointless because you don't know which dissolved minerals are actually in the water.
Exactly. Yeah. So it
So
really is
it could
just like a trigger. Like there's no point in using a TDS meter if you're not using RO water. There's no point in using it because like for instance, like you were saying about the redosing. So when you use RO water, you're supposed to add the minerals back into the water. So when you test your RO water, it should say zero. So you should be
Yeah.
adding enough of that powdered, or like for instance, this stuff right here, which is salty shrimp. Like you should be using this to get up to a certain amount of decent TDS to remineralize the water. So it's no point in using a TDS meter unless you're using all water, in my opinion. You know, that's just my opinion on it. I don't use TDS on tap water. It's just no point because, like you said, I don't know exactly what's in it. But when I have RO water, I know what I'm putting in it. You know, so it's just like even when I'm putting that stuff in there, I don't know what percentage of what is in there still. But it's just like I know that I put enough minerals in here for it to go up to 150 TDS, and then it'll balance. The tank will balance itself out and add more, and then they'll be stuck at a certain level, right? So, um, yeah, that's just yeah. I just personally I wouldn't use a TDS meter if you're not going to use RO water.
Yeah, it's just like I said, I don't think I've ever had that issue with my shrimp, and
Hmm.
I know my hardness is way up there.
Now I
It
know,
doesn't
like,
even register.
right. I know, like, like me, I'm into the higher grade neos, which they're a little bit more sensitive to water
Okay.
parameters. So I don't
Yeah,
know,
no,
like,
mine are the run of the litter. They're yeah, mine. I call
like
them
wild
water
types.
roaches. That's yeah.
Yeah, like I like the. I want to see if I can show you like one of my high grades. Let me see if I can flip this. All right. Let me see if I can show y'all this so y'all can see it.
They're only going to be high grade if you just one
You said from who?
award winning blue.
Like that's a blue dom. Like these are all like. I wonder if I could put it on. Can y'all still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry. Bear with me, y'all. I'm trying to show y'all. Like, uh, if the camera will focus, I think it might just be too close.
Yeah, it's out of focus. I see views.
Yeah, that's that brownie ghost. Like, for instance, this one right here. If you can see that, I don't
Yeah,
know, man. This camera is it's not focusing. So hang on.
doesn't want to cooperate. There you go. Much
All
better.
right, there's an Amano. That booster's has some deficiencies. It hasn't kicked back in right since the move. But then you have the baby blue dreams. They're sitting here. They're dark blue. You have some auto synklets in there. Let me see. Here goes some smaller guys like some wild types of that bread in this tank. And I don't really care about the wild types anymore. Um, I just really like the blues. But there's some more blues back there that's sitting on here. And then like you see that this is just where they like to hang out because it's just nobody can really mess with them up here on the
Well, they
tank.
like the
So
biofilm on the top of the water too, though. That's the other reason they like being towards the top.
that is true because I don't have a skimmer on this tank either. So
They'll be hanging around upside down, eating off the surface.
yeah, they're like I said, man, I when I first got into the
We lost them. Let me see. Oh, there he is. Let me add him to the stream.
that's my fault. I had hit refreshed on the damn screen. But when I first got into hobby, man, I only want to do like shrimp bowls. Like I know like a lot of stuff about shrimp, like Neo Caradinas. I definitely do want to get into the Caradina world, but I want Solo Westy shrimp. The red cardinals with the white little boots. I want some of those,
Yep.
but you can't really have a lot of plants in the tank with them. So
Why not?
um they're real sensitive, and like when debris and stuff get trapped in the plants, it kind of like something I read something where like it I think Sue was telling me something where he was like saying you want as much hard light as you want, so all the algae building up on the plants anyway. Like
Mm.
they don't eat supplemented food like you know how we sprinkle powder and stuff like that. They eat like literally just straight algae. So like you have to have like a very hard light on the tank like almost all the time in order to keep up with they're going to breed and they're going to keep eating. They're constantly um they're constantly what's the word I'm looking for? Like scavenging
Grazing.
or yeah, grazing. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. They're constantly grazing all over those rocks all day. So you want that light on as much as possible in that tank in order to keep it building that soft algae and hard algae on the rocks. And I don't think that's a good environment for pro- probably the plants that I'm interested in, but maybe like maybe a Java fern or maybe some bow in the back or something like that. Maybe that'll work. Those plants are pretty hard and tough, but definitely not any Anubias because they hate highlighting. And then probably like not any dwarf hair grass because like I said, you don't want that. You don't want anything to be trapped up in those plants in order to breed and stuff like that because the moment of detritus, I think it affects them some type of way. So you kind of want to just have sand and rocks. You kind of just want to do a hardscape with solo is what I'm researching on with them. So
Yeah, and they like the higher temperatures too, so that could be also a challenge for most plants, staying up
yeah.
on the higher range of the temperature.
Yeah, I read they like up to like 76 to you could do like 76 to 82 with them.
Yeah, they can go pretty high. For shrimp, they get up there. Well, I'll tell you what, even my Neils, they get up there. I told you my tanks are ranging between 88 and 92 degrees, and they do fine.
Yeah.
The only thing that I'm doing is I'm shortening their lifespans because their metabolisms gets increased. But they
Right.
produce so many babies that I don't really notice
The
uh,
drop off.
the
Right.
drop off. But that's the only thing I'm doing is I'm really I'm putting nitrous on the life cycle of the shrimp.
I mean, they breathe fast. I mean, I did read it because I was like, man, I want to keep my temperature at 65 degrees on my shrimp tanks. I'm like, damn, like the plants ain't really growing that fast no more. And like you see a complete slowdown, like it slows down having a lower temperature, it slows down metabolism on everything in the tank.
Yeah.
So being in that middle point, it's very beneficial, but you don't really, like you said, you don't see the drop off with shrimp. I Before I had my Bloody Mary. I had Bloody Mary neocaridines. That was my first colony of shrimp. I had about like three or 400 in the shrimp, 400 in the tank. I ended up having a power outage. This is one of the tanks where I never did a water change in, so it's probably my fault. But it was that tank that I had running for 8 months. I did the power went out, so the filters, sponge filters, all that stuff stopped running. I never cleaned my filters or anything. I neglected it for a minute. And the die off was so hard in that tank because it threw the parameters off from not doing water changes. But I mean, if the power was still running, would have been fine. If I was on a backup generator or something like that, that stuff would have been fine. But I actually ended up nuking my entire Bloody Mary colony. And Bloody Mary it was all S grade shrimp, very expensive, probably like six or $7 a shrimp. If I sell locally, I could probably do probably like $10 easy. So
Somebody's asking a question. I know you've addressed this earlier, but they probably weren't here. They says I got a question. What is the best temperature for underwater plants?
best temperature is probably like around 72 degrees. 72 is probably the sweet spot. You'll start to see a lot of growth. And actually, the temperature affects the coloration of your fish, I believe. If I'm wrong, you guys let me know. But I think in tropical fish, the warmer the water is, the better the color looks. That might just be me, but yeah, that'll definitely 72 is definitely like that really good um pitch where you can have some wonderful plants growing and good growth. And I believe they intake more nutrients as well with warmer temperatures. So 72 is the sweet spot. 68 is the lowest me, like personally, I would go, but 72 is the sweet spot. And if you have bettas, obviously you have to go up a little more higher than that. So I definitely did have some tanks that were like 78 degrees. I mean, I think like when it goes up like 80s, that's when it kind of like the plants just like start melting off. But certain plants, um, but hey, George, you don't mind if I put my my sponsor and everything into the chat. Do you? Okay. All right. So if you guys need plants, and we have a wide variety of plants. My sponsor, which is H2O Plants. Let me see if I can put this in the chat. So if you need plants, I have a discount code. I'm going to post it in the chat real quick so you guys can see it. And I'm new to this, so I just, we signed the contracts and all that stuff to be with them. But one second, H2O plants. It's not going to flag me like TikTok does it? When I
No,
put .com.
no, not here. This is it's funny because the longest time I used to complain that I thought YouTube was very restrictive, but now that I've messed around with Instagram and TikTok,
Hmm.
man, TikTok is so restrictive. You can't even like if I pan my camera and I have certain products placed, it'll flag it. It's like you got to be kidding me because it's not in their TikTok store, so you can't have it on there. It is nuts.
Yeah, I like held up like a piece of like the APTE. Like this is one of the fertilizers that I use. This is for like this is the most like potent out of the APT line. But this one right here, which is APTE, um, I held this up in the live, and TikTok just like restricted, 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 restricted. I'm like, they was like, because they don't sell it on the TikTok shop.
Yep.
Oh, Jake. Yeah, Jake, man. Jake, a cool guy, man. I like Jake. And when you come in TikTok, this is another thing that I don't like about being in the aquarium hobby on TikTok. It's like these brands got everybody fooled that they're doing sponsorship videos and like
I talked about that.
it's terrible because it's all it is a marketing scheme where it's cheaper for them to give their products away for free in order for you guys to do a video on them on TikTok. It's cheaper for them to do that rather than paying for advertisement. So they're fooling guys thinking like, oh yeah, I got sponsorship from Evzone, or I got sponsorship from High Gear, or I got sponsorship from Ciora, or something like that. It ain't a sponsorship; it's a collab. I didn't get into it because I was like, oh yeah, like I'm getting all this free stuff. But the problem that I didn't like about it is I had to do a video on it, and then they had sent me strict guidelines to stay into with the video. I'm just like, bro, like y'all don't trust me to do my own content. So then that, and then they were just it wasn't so unique because they was going all over the place to all these other creators, and it was like watered down content. Like it just wasn't good. Like I can't put my niche on it because everybody else is doing the same thing inside those those guidelines. But when I was actually on a TikTok live, and the owner from H2O Plants, which is I think he's either the guy that runs it or he took over or something like that. But his name is Jake. Um, Jake reached out to me on the live, told me to DM him. I DM'd him. He said he likes the way my skates looks and he wants to have an exclusive sponsorship. So when I talked to Jake, I was like, Jake, I'm not wanting to do these collabs that that TikTok and all these other guys doing. Like, I want something like solid where you guys are letting me do whatever I want with the content. And excuse me. And he was like, yeah, I'll write up a contract and everything. I'm like, okay, cool. So I signed a contract. And then if you go to their Instagram page, all my videos are all on there. Like, it's just my face on
Yeah.
like everywhere down their page. And it's like, I feel so proud of myself because it was just like, not only did I get like one of the opportunities of a lifetime, but I'm glad somebody liked my work enough to send me some of their product. And then the last thing I was worried about, like, yeah, I don't got to pay for plants.
That's nice, especially if you're doing aquascape. That's one of the biggest expenses, like we were talking about earlier. It's buying all the plants you're going to need for the scape, because the biggest mistake a lot of people make is not having enough plants when they're starting up their scape, and that also helps you fight some of the algae issues and stuff if you have a lot of plants in it. So yeah, it's nice. What I was telling them, and this is surprising because I guess I finally reached their threshold to start getting solicited by some of the companies on TikTok.
Hmm.
Uh, they were asking me, and there's like, oh, we love to F Zone.
Right.
We love to do for you to work with us and try out this product. Well, coming from YouTube, Higer, the way it used to work here is what you were saying precisely. They'd send you a product, you did a positive review of the product, and now you get to keep the product, right? And it's true what you said. It's just free advertisement for the company at a very low cost for them. Well, when I looked at it, I said, okay, let me check out because I always hear Evzone being a good product. That's kind of like,
Hmm.
well, it's better than Hygar, supposedly. And I went and it's like, all right, well, how does this work? How exactly does it work? And I'm not going to be the one that's going to do a product review on a product that I don't need. I said, if I'm going to do a product review, it's because I'm going to need it. I'm going to use it, and that's it. But don't be telling me, oh, now do a review on this hang on the back or this other, because I don't fucking use them. I mean, that's just not what I
Right.
do. And they're like, oh yeah, no problem. The way this works is you buy it and then you do the review.
And they send
And
you
if
the
we
bread
like the
back.
review, we'll reimburse you. I said, no, thank you. I'm done.
Yeah, it's just too much. Like, because I did it, like I did it because I really wanted something where, so I have all F zone lights. All these lights that you see on all
Yeah.
these tanks, they're all F zone lights. And they work great. F zone is a great company with some equipment. This is a very budget friendly light. It has the apps and everything is cool. But it's like, don't be throwing me no piece of equipment that is like cheap. You know what I mean? Like, don't insult me. Like, I don't like how they don't have a list. They're like, we want to give you this, and you do a video, but you
Yeah.
gotta buy it. I'm like, at least let me get something I want.
Well, they kept reaching out. I said, the only thing I'm interested is on the skimmer because I actually need a skimmer for that tank. And I said, oh, but I don't see a skimmer on there. And it was like, oh yeah, we have one. And he sent me the link to their Amazon page. Went and checked it out. I said, oh, okay, that's cool. It's not that expensive. I think the skimmer is under $30. It's this little stainless steel kind of skimmer. And I said, all right, well, I'll be interested. I'll try that. I said, because I'm actually going to use it. It's not something that I'm just going to, a product that I'm going to try and just get rid of it. And I said, well, how does this work? And that's when he said, you have to purchase it. And then you got to make, because they want you to give them a very positive review. And based on whether they like your review or not, then they will reimburse you. And it's like, no, I don't need that product that bad.
Yeah, and
I
it's
ain't doing that.
it's crazy because it's just, man, it's just like, it feels like it's a scheme. Like, you want me to buy
It is a
it,
scheme. It is a scheme.
yeah, and then, like, you want me to buy it and you want me to do a review. Like, it's like you holding me hostage for my money until I do the review. You're not gonna get my bread back. So it's just like, I get it, because sometimes you can send somebody out something and they don't do anything with it. They don't advertise it.
Yeah.
I get it, but even when I was doing so many of them, like, I was doing so many of their videos, they weren't even like budging, like sending me stuff out for free. The only company that ever sent me something out for free, and I haven't did any advertising for them, was AQQA. And I think her name was Candace.
Yeah.
And yeah, she sent me out at pure free. Didn't have to pay anything. But I told her, like, hey, I'm about to move. I'm not gonna have time to do the video until like the end of February. Like, that's and I told her that in December, and she was just like, okay, that's cool. So I guess the companies vary, like, it varies with the companies, but F Zone is kind of like strict, where they'll want you to buy it and then do a review on it.
Yeah. And it's kind of like, well, then they hold you hostage because I was like, well, what if I don't like the product? Well, then we want you to be honest, but we can reimburse it unless it's a positive review. And I was like, whatever, that's dirty.
Right.
I felt like I needed a shower after talking to them.
Oh man, you know what I would have done if they actually did some shit, like some crazy shit? I probably would have did the review. They gave my bread back and I deleted the video.
Yeah, and Candace, we found that out at Aquashella that
Really?
it's a dude. It's a dude that's as ugly as I am.
What?
Yeah, about my age, about my build, balding like I am. Yeah, I don't know why he uses female names, but it's a
Nah,
dude.
that's weird.
Well, most guys, if they have a female typing to them, they're more likely to respond than if it's my name is John. Like, yeah, John, whatever. Get out of here.
Like, John, I need my bread back, John. Give me my money, man. Dang, that's crazy that they're doing that. Cause I was done doing it, and I was like, I really just want a sponsorship where I don't even have to
A
ask like the
real
company.
sponsorship. A real
Yeah,
sponsorship where one on one with them, any products you need, they'll be able to hook you up with it.
right.
Yeah.
And then not only that, but ever since I sponsored with H2O plants, it's been like a very great experience. Like the customer service, like even though I'm the ambassador for the company, he's still like providing customer service. And then he's like one day he just randomly he was like, "Hey, do you need any fertilizer?" And I was like, "You have some?" He was like, "I got someone to make." Because if you go to his website, you'll see that the fertilizer option, it doesn't have any fertilizer in it. So I think he's experimenting. So he's about to send me some fertilizer. And I was like, okay, well, this guy Jake is, he's pretty cool. And I appreciate him taking the chance on me. So it was definitely the most happiest part of of this aquarium thing with me is just that somebody thought that I could do something for the company, but it's still like that what's the word? What's that? Is it quid pro or
Quid pro.
symbiotic? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's beneficial for me as well. Like I'm getting what I want, he's getting what he wants, and then everybody's happy. And that's how it should be. Honestly, that's how them guys should be. And it's crazy because you don't see those brand. The only people that you see with those brand collabs are like people that are like, I don't want to. I'm not saying like normal people, but I'm just like saying people with like the lower following. Like I feel like I'm not trying to call anybody anything, but like more gullible people. It just a,
Well,
s- a scheme.
that's why it's always the lower count. You already know. Look, in YouTube, the minute you hit, I want to say 300 subscribers, you get the email from Higer and AQQA.
Right? It's like
They're
they
the
wait for
first.
your account to hit a
Yeah,
certain amount of followers.
yeah.
Like
It's almost the minute you hit that number. I think it's 300. I want to say it's 300. And then the minute you hit that, they start sending you the emails that and it's the default email. Oh, we saw all your videos. We like what you're doing. We'd be interested if see if would you be interested in working with us? It's like a template letter email that they sent to everybody. And
they
then
should put they should put. Are you thinking about working with us temporarily? That's what they should say.
and although the reality is they have improved a lot of their products, not all products, but a lot of they have some pretty solid products now, that to the point now, and I think it's all been a really smart way to advertise, because now they're starting to really become part of brick and mortar stores. They're starting to you can walk into a lot of local fish stores and see their products on the shelves. So
Right.
whatever they did obviously worked for them. All that free advertisement, they gave them that name recognition. It is a budget friendly, but I'm quickly learning that yeah, it could be. Those are the way I look at those products are like bailout products. And what do I mean by that? They're the cheap products you can get your hands on pretty quick to temporarily hold you off until you can buy the quality product that's going to be the long run product you're going to use.
Right.
Um, because they don't, if you're trying to run them for several years at a time. I love the little pump that they had. They had a little small air pump
Uh
that
huh.
was running about half of my fish room, and it was doing fine until the other day it started making this weird high noise. Something must have gone wrong in it. And that was one of the things I loved about that air pump, that it was really quiet. But it ran for about a year solid nonstop, and until right before the end of this year, it went kapoots. I came in here and it sounded like somebody was jackhammering in the fish room. And I was like, what is that? And I walked over there and I realized it was a little air pump. And I said, this finally gave in. But it ran solid for a year, nonstop. I never turned it off. And it ran multiple tanks. It ran 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It ran 10 tanks, varying from a 120 to the smallest one being a 33 gallon.
That's
And
not bad.
it ran air in all those tanks, and it was really quiet. I did a whole video on it when I first got the product, and I did because I used to have the really inexpensive, like little round um, air pump you get on Amazon that runs you like $30, and you can run all your fish room on them. It works
Yeah.
great, but it's really loud. It's like obnoxiously loud.
It sounds like a whole generator in the room.
Well, yeah. If you watch my very first videos that I was doing on you could hear that sucker in all my videos in the background. The constant humming in the background.
Right. Yeah. It's a lot.
And it made it where it's like after being here for a while, you're like, God, I gotta get out of here. But finally, I ended up coming across an Alita air pump, and that little sucker is a workhorse, and it's a small one. I want to say it's the 15A. It's the little rectangular one, and that one runs all my tanks.
Oh, really?
So
I haven't seen that one. I've been running the Pawfly, which is a cheaper. It's like $40, and it runs.
Yeah,
It can run like.
yeah, this one it was a little bit more expensive, but I got it from a guy that was breaking down his fish room. I only paid $50 for it, and it's really cheap at that price because I think new they're somewhere like in the 120s range, somewhere around there.
Damn. Yeah, that's a lot.
But
Yeah.
it's a workhorse. That sucker is built to last, and it's heavy too. I mean, it's a little, it's not very big.
So it's
Smaller
small,
than
it's compact, and it doesn't make any noise. That's exactly what
Yep.
we should be looking for.
Yep. And for how many tanks do you have up now?
Hell, I got like,
Because I see you constantly working on tanks. That's why I'm curious.
yeah, I'm building the hardscapes, but I don't have any like my plants. I'm waiting for them the order from the sponsor to get in, and I can't put any fish until I plant. So it's been hard. Like all my fish are like all in one 29-gallon tank with the Tetra Whisperer running on it, like the one with the dual size on it. Like I think it's for a 60-gallon tank, but I got like cherry barbs, longfin blue Danios, neon tetras, the Bonrio flame tetras. I got like chat. Don't get on my head, but I got 2 male bettas in there. Like I'm trying to get these scape shells so I can get these fish out of this tank, but with the delays with the weather and everything, it's just been so hard. But yeah, I mean the 2 bettas are doing all right, but they got to get out of there, man. So, but just to throw a comment on the spot on the collabs from TikTok, y'all, if this is just some advice, if you want something specific from these brands, like somebody came to me in my DM on TikTok and asked me this. They said, "Hey Ronnie, since you're sponsored by F Zone, can you get a discount code on a light?" And I was like, "Nah, they don't even work like that. They don't even give out discount codes." I was like, I said it's best for you to contact that company and see if they will. I mean, if you want something like a light, if you wanted a light, just be like, "Hey, are y'all doing anything? Y'all running any sponsorships on the lights?" Then and they say yeah, then they'll give you the whole. Well, if you buy it, we'll reimburse you. Do a video. Most of the time, it's write a review on Amazon, which isn't too bad. I'd rather do that rather than the video. So if you guys want something specific from these brands, hit them up on TikTok, Facebook, or Instagram and negotiate. Because a lot of times some of them will, depending on whoever you talk to. There's plenty of people. It might be one page, but there's plenty of people to log in and plenty of people that will reply back to everybody. So you guys hit these guys up and ask for something specific that you want. Like, you want an F Zone light? Are you running anything? Are you running any collabs on this light or whatever? and then go ahead and get your bread, go and get your money on. They might say, oh yeah, but it's 40, we'll reimburse you 40% of what you paid for it. Something like that. That's still something in your favor. I'm not saying like not accept these stuff, but just kind of use it to your advantage. So if you do want something, just kind of hit them up and tell them, that's just one good thing. I know I probably finesse. I know I finessed a lot of stuff. So like, especially with F Zone, I had like a Facebook account and I had a TikTok account, and I hit them with the whole like finesse. Like I'm a whole different person on Facebook than I am on TikTok. So I got kind of like a double deal on something, and they never threw the red flag on it. So definitely something to look at. But oh, sorry. Sometimes one of the male betters, he'll swim to the bottom of the tank and he'll just sit there. And I thought he was dead, so I had to make sure he
Yeah.
was dead.
Yeah, they do some weird stuff like that. You're thinking, you're getting the net out to pull them out. Just when you go to touch them, then they'll move. It's like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, I'm just looking. I'm like, because he's like dark. He's like the brightest red. Like he's the same red as those plecos. You know the red plecos. He's like really vibrant red. So I'm looking. I'm like, what is that red fish at the bottom? And he's just sitting there on his side, just at the bottom. But if I go over there, he'll get back up. So, but I know y'all was talking about with Nick about the fish deaths. Like, does it really affect people and stuff like that? I think like it depends on the fish, because sometimes like a fish that is smart, like a betta, can have some type of personality or whatever, and then like
Well,
people get attacked.
any fish that'll interact with you, it's different. It's a different connection. Well, most of the fish that I keep, like guppies, antlers, they don't even acknowledge the fact that I exist, other than when I'm going to feed them. So it's. I think even though like a betta small, it does interact with you. If you walk in the room and you get to the tank, it'll go check you out or whatever. I don't know if it recognizes you or not. I don't know. Um,
It does.
but
It does. I think it does, because it interacted with me completely different than it interacted with my wife when she came up to the tank. I think they do. They can tell, and then they know the box, or like the bloodworm packet. They know what the food looks like before you give it to them as well, which is very interesting. So it is crazy. I gotta get some more Daniels though. I took a liking to Daniels.
there's a lot of fish out there that I know that's what Nick keeps giving you guys a hard time about, that you guys are always going back to the same default fish. Um, but yeah, there's the longer I do this hobby, the more I realize how many different variations of fish are out there that are really really cool. So, but I don't know what if you have anything else going on. We've been on for about 2.5 hours. I don't know if you realize that.
Oh damn! What time? Damn, it's 9 o'clock.
I'm getting close where I got to start getting ready for work tonight. Um, so we'll probably wrap it up unless you got anything else that you need to put out there. We'll take a minute to do that.
Okay, yeah. I like I said, if you guys need any plants, again, just look at the website h2oplants.com. And if you do decide to order, you can use my code, which is KQT, which stands for KlipQuaticTanks. So KQT is the 15% discount code that you can use. And also, Bama's stupid, but also maybe use my train of thought. Also, if you guys want any type of artistic opinion on, if you guys want to send me skates for me to look at, or if you try to improve on certain things, or if you're trying to speed up on how you can, fix certain things, or create different things in a tank, or just any type of ideology you want to run past me, that's perfectly cool. And I do plan on starting some new content, aquascaping on a budget. So for those people that don't want to spend, like, trust me, I probably done spent over probably $500 to $800 worth of just in rocks
Yeah.
with this hobby. So definitely will be doing some content on that, and then just you guys just check it out. But I'll be mostly on Instagram. Again, it's KlipQuaticTanks. Kind of steering away from TikTok because I just don't like the algorithm that is thrown on me, and then I don't like the dates of the videos that I get. They're so old. Like I got something from like 2024 the other day, and it was like 6 likes. Like I'm like, just and it wasn't even nothing that I was really looking at. So I'm really gonna be transferring over to Instagram. So you guys just follow me back on there. And then I do go live every morning on TikTok if you want to hang in there, so you can see what my step by step is. When I wake up every morning, I dose all my high tech tanks. That's simply what I just do. So, but yeah, I'm about to.
You should do a little bit more on YouTube.
Yeah, you're right. It. You
You
know
should.
why? You know why I've been skipping YouTube is because I've been wanting to get back into get me another camera, and I'm like, I'll go on YouTube and I could post 4K 60, videos, but like with my
Yeah,
phone and
and you can
everything, it's
even do it
just
if you really don't like TikTok. Do the lives on YouTube like you do on TikTok. You would do really good, especially
okay.
right now. There seems to be a really big void during the day, during the weekdays. It used to be saturated with people going live, but I've noticed lately there is a huge void. Um, Hardly anybody going live. It goes through ebbs and flows though. But right now, if you wanted to grow your channel on YouTube, right now is the moment. You can jump on there, do the same thing you were doing on TikTok. You do it on YouTube, and you'll start picking up people real quick.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that. And George, thank you for having me on. If you ever want like just an extra guest, like if you and Funk are on and I'm around, like I'll definitely try to request up to come in just to kind of chill and implement on whatever you guys are saying. And I see Funk said $800 on rocks. Yeah, man, like that stuff costs, man. Like look, when you aquascape, you always want to buy more than what you're planning to use. So that way, if something just doesn't fit right, then you can just look at some more pieces. Or like I said, people that have tank syndrome and they always creating tanks like me, um, I'm always going to want to have that material on hand and not wait for it to get shipped in. So that's why I always buy more than what I need. So,
Funk is
um,
being silly.
rocks is crazy. Yeah, I know. I got rocks if you need some. They say pray up and just let me know. Oh man. Um,
Well, again, thank you so much, Ronnie. Well, you say thank you for inviting me, but thank you for accepting because it's a two-way road. Because you could easily say no. Again, next week on Wednesday, don't miss out. I'm going to have Jungle Nook on. He was going to be my guest. And then on Thursday of next week, I'm going to be doing a Spanish live stream, and I'm going to be talking to Carlos. He is Dr. Anthony's right hand man at the Amazon Research Center for Ornamental Fish down in Peru. So that was going to be
oh,
really interesting because I want we'll be able to find out from one of the workers down there all the investigative stuff that they do, all the research they're doing out there at on the Amazon River, and so that'll be another one that I'm really looking forward to. So thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Tomorrow, Super Bowl Sunday. I'm pretty sure I don't know who to root for, but I'll definitely be watching. And enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a great
if
one.
I
You guys
if
take
I was
care.
about to say if I was